It's the Mike Rutherford Show on the Big X.
Sportos, motorheads, geek bloods, wastoids, dweebies, they all adore him. They think he's a righteous dude.
The Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical, your trusted partner for commercial and industrial HVAC, electrical, plumbing, and refrigeration. Call United Mechanical at 502-339-1133.
Well, I'll stand up next to a mountain, and I'll chop it down with the edge of my hand.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. It is Wednesday, May 20th. This is the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus. We're coming to you live from the world-famous University of Louisville College of Business Studios here in the heart of soggy Louisville, Kentucky. Cards fans, take accounting to a whole new level with U of L's Masters in Accounting and Analytics. In-depth data analytics courses allow you to achieve a new mastery of accounting in this AACSB accredited program. 11-month competitive internship opportunities and full access to the Becker CPA exam review. Prepare to graduate career ready in only 12 months. Visit business.louisville.edu today to find out more. We're on the air today from 2:34 until 5:30 here on 1450 AM, 96.1 FM. Streaming across the land, including on the Big X Sports Radio Louisville YouTube page. We're airing live on WBNA Channel 21. You know us better as the Big X. Mike Rutherford, Matt Childress here with you on a Wednesday edition of the show. Happy Hump Day. It's ugly outside. It's even uglier in the hearts of Louisville baseball fans. We have the end of the 25-26 Louisville athletic season to talk about now. Softball's out. Baseball's out. I guess we still have track and field left, technically, I think. Golf is, I believe, competing. But for the most part, the spotlight sports have wrapped up their season. We'll talk a little bit about the kind of our reflections on the 25-26 U of L athletic season, which certainly had its fair share of highs, but maybe none quite as high as we were hoping for across the board. We've got some uncomfortable conversations to have about the baseball program. We've been kind of putting them on the back burner. In the event that something miraculous were to happen, we now have to talk about those sorts of things. We've also got good news on the Floyd Badunga front. Not unexpected, but still good news nonetheless. A very, very, very tough one for Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs last night. We've also got, I think, some football things to talk about. There is a narrative taking shape right now that I find interesting. I want to get your thoughts on it. I want to get Matt's thoughts on it. Hit us up on the Gameday Mens Health text line today, 502-414-1450. We're also taking comments, I should say, on the YouTube chat all day as well. Just go to Big X Sports Radio Louisville, click the live button, boom. You're seeing our ugly mugs. You're chatting it up with folks, and we're reading your comments on the air. As mentioned, Matt Childress in the house. Give him a follow on Twitter at @mchildress__. Matt, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I've had a full day underneath me already. Got up at 7:30 this morning. Went on with Scoots on Sunrise with Scoots. He wanted to talk some UFL and some Kings football, so he had me on for a segment, so that was fun to do that this morning.
You're the official Kings expert now that people are having on.
Yes.
How's that feel?
What's the phrase on we talked on the Microsoft show? The guy who the Drake. Oh my gosh. One person who knows everything about something first, and then just I forgot what.
Jack of all trades, master of none.
No, like somebody texted in the other day and said that they were the Drake something for the Mike Rutherford show. I forgot what it was, but
you were red hot right out of the gate.
Yeah, I'm struggling right now, but yeah. So I came on there and got to talk about their playoff push and so, why they're having success now and all that stuff. That was fun. Right after that, had to leave my house. Had to go to the podiatrist.
Ooh,
like I'm 75 years old.
What's wrong with your feet?
So about a month ago, I had an ingrown toenail that's pretty bad. Went to the podiatrist, got it removed, got it fixed, and they were like, have you ever had these before? I was like, no, it's the first time I've really had one. He's like, okay, if it comes back, let us know. I was like, well, I hope it doesn't come back. Well, 3 weeks later, comes back, hurts even worse. Went in today, they removed it again, and they put some kind of like acidic serum or whatever into my toe. They're like, yep, we'll never grow back again. You're good. I was like, we didn't do this the first time? Like, what? Could we just have done that already?
What did I pay for?
Yeah, like what's the point? You just having me in there because you like me? I don't know, but they got that done. My toe is wrapped up like Roman's knee. I can't even fit into my shoes barely right now.
The list of producer injuries on the show continues to be just over the top incredible.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. But we'll get back out there. We'll get back on the court here soon. I have to take probably a week or so off. Make sure this is all healed up and good. But after that, went over to Paulina's house for a little bit. Her sister she bakes for a living. She has like her own bakery out of her house.
What's the name?
Violet and Flour.
Okay.
And then flour is like
you got to get free promos.
like the baking powder, not like flour like plant, but.
Thank you for that explanation.
I was just, if anybody wanted to look them up, that's just make sure you're like, wow.
Super confused about the pun there.
I was just making sure people knew. But she's doing like some market this weekend where she's like got a vendor booth set up and is gonna be selling them. So I went over to their house, helped them pack cookies and stuff for that. So that was a good time. And now we're here. So it's been a long day already. I'm actually exhausted.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry to hear that.
I can't wait to talk about why Mitchell Robinson shouldn't have an NBA contract.
We're gonna get there. You sound enthusiastic. We've been running around a little bit today too. It was John's last day of school, so big morning. He was very pumped up for the last day of school. Took him in there, took some pictures, got out of there, and then I was on Wave 3 Listens at 12:30 to promote the Let's Dance Louisville thing, which was it was fun. I had not been there. I used to go on every now and then with John Ramsey when we were doing the radio show together. So it was the first time that I've been in that studio talking on television about non-sports stuff. Talking about dancing was a little bit different than talking about, what Louisville basketball was doing and not doing. But it was a good time. Again, letsdancelouisville.org. Give me your money. Need it. So that was fun, and then got home, did a little bit of work, and then came in here. Happy to be here. We've also got intern Ian in the house today. He is Ian. Pull the mic closer to you. Can you turn his mic on, Matt?
Oh yeah, my fault.
You're good. Make sure say something. Make sure we can hear you.
Testing.
Boom!
There we
go.
There we go.
We can hear him. Intern Ian's in the house today. Ian, tell the folks a little bit about yourself. What you're doing here. How you got suckered into being around the Big X, folks.
I got suckered in. Well, I was a WKU broadcasting major, and I met this very great guy up in Western named Randy Lee, the play-by-play announcer up there.
Yeah.
And Randy Lee happened to know Dugan Ryan. He's the owner of the station. He was able to get me in contact with him, and he was able to. And Dugan, when I started talking to him, he was able to give me this internship here.
There you go. You just popped up on YouTube now. Wait. Watch this. In 2 seconds. Oh, boom! Right there. Now Ian's on the screen there. Happy to have intern Ian in the house. Ian, I assume you're rocking the 2012 Final Four polo. I'm assuming you're a Louisville fan.
Absolutely. I'm a Louisville fan. Don't worry about that.
Just making sure. I mean, it could be UK. They were there as well, unfortunately.
They were, yeah.
Yeah, I was there as well. Matt was like, you were like 9 years old, right?
2012?
Yeah.
No, I was 13.
13.
I was 5.
God, I mean, just like I said, once again, the process of making me feel super old out of seemingly nowhere continues every single day here on the show, and that's okay. That's just fine. 502-414-1450, I mentioned, is the Gameday Mens Health text line. I can already see we're going to have a lot of thoughts about one particular topic today, so I want to go ahead and dive right into it. We'll talk about Donovan Mitchell in a second, but let's keep things Louisville focused here to start today. The Louisville baseball team, barring a miracle, we've sort of known where this has been going for the last 3 weeks. It has been a wildly disappointing season. I'll make the case, and I don't think it's difficult to make, that this has been the most disappointing is the right word, season of the Dan McDonnell era at Louisville. They've had probably worse teams overall, but when you talk about coming off of a trip to the College World Series, bringing back essentially the core of that team, you brought back 2 preseason All-Americans, and one of those guys was not even the player who went out there and set a school and conference record for home runs. You brought back a decent group of arms from that team that helped you get to the CWS, and it's not like expectations were unreasonably high here locally because we're, Homer fans and all this stuff. This was a team that was ranked number 8 in the country in the preseason D1Baseball.com poll. They were top 10 in a handful of other polls. They were top 20 in virtually every poll in existence. They were expected to be among the best teams in the ACC, and they were expected to be a team that was going to once again compete to get back to Omaha. And really, at no point this year did they appear to be of that quality. The reason is very straightforward. It's not the offense. This team, now that the season is over, and the season is over after a 16-8 loss to Pitt last night, had a 6.75 team ERA. I don't think you have to know a lot about baseball to know that is way too high. They ranked 15th out of 16 teams in the ACC. Their whip was 1.80. That was dead last in the ACC. Their walks per 9 innings was 5.8. That's dead last in the ACC. Their strikeout per 9 innings was 8.9. That's 13th out of 16 teams in the ACC. That is atrocious. And that's how a team with a dude who's hitting a home run every third at bat can still find itself safely out of NCAA tournament contention. The pitching has been bad. This is not a one-off. The pitching has been bad basically since COVID happened. Louisville now, despite their trip to the College World Series last year, their trip to the Super Regionals 4 years ago, they have missed the NCAA tournament in 4 of the last 6 seasons. And this is the one that feels like it stings the most because there's not really a plausible explanation for it. Because, they struggled immediately after COVID. And there was talk about, we had a lot of defections. That 2020 team was poised to be the best in school history. When you lose Reed Detmers from that squad, you lose Bobby Miller from that squad, you lose all these All-Americans from that squad, you were going to have a rebuilding process anyway. So 2021 was probably going to be a step back. You toss in the disruption to the chemistry and the offseason sequence of events that Dan McDonnell has had set for so long, and of course you're going to have some issues there. 2022, I think that there was some thought about, now we figured out we need to use the transfer portal. The times have changed. We've got to do things at least a little bit differently to have the same type of success that we're used to. And, they did a little bit of that, and you felt better about the direction of the program. You take a big step backward in 2024, and all of a sudden people are back saying, Dan's got to do something different. You got to get rid of Roger Williams. And then, bam, last spring happens, and it seems like all of the questions that we had about the program had been answered in the affirmative. They figured things out. They're still developing talent. They're still developing players. They're keeping their best players, and they're bringing in great players from the portal. We're recruiting very well. Hell, we just went to the College World Series. Why would you ever think about needing to make wholesale changes in the baseball program? And then the last 4 months have happened with a team that appeared stacked on paper. They finished the year 30-27. They were essentially out of having any hope of making the NCAA tournament, sans a 5-game run in the ACC tournament for the last 3 weeks of the year. And the pitching was terrible from start to finish. Last night, I kind of get myself a little bit excited about the game. It's, they don't start till 9:45 or whatever. You go out there, Wyatt Danielewicz, God love him, who's been your best arm this season, he gives up 5 runs to 5 batters. They've got 5 runs last night before we record a single out. And then the offense does what the offense has done all season, tried to bail out the pitching. We score 5 in the home half of the second, tie the game up. They leave Danielewicz in there in the 4th inning. Boom, Pitt's got a 6 spot. Next inning, boom, Pitt's got 4 more. The game's over at that point. You're hoping for some sort of rally. But it felt like the ending that this team has been hurling out of control towards for basically the last 3 months. Doubled up by a not good Pitt team in front of 3 fans in Charlotte at 1:15 in the morning. I'm dozing in and out of consciousness as I'm making sure that something amazing doesn't happen. And now the offseason is here on May 20th. Matt, I don't think the question is whether or not conversations need to be had. The question is which conversations need to be had. Dan McDonnell is the 12th highest paid coach in college baseball. His contract is up at the end of this year. Let's tackle the head of the stake right now and say, do you think that Louisville needs to at least consider going in a different direction from Dan McDonnell, who is without question the architect of this entire program and has had a level of success here that no one thought was even remotely possible when he took the job back in 2007?
I want to go ahead, before I give you my answer.
Okay.
I want to go into the defense of Josh Hurd for a second.
Okay.
Because
preemptive defense of Josh Hurd. I like it.
I feel like this is, no matter what the answer is, it's just going to be a bad look for him. There's going to be half the fan base that's like, why would you re-sign him after what just happened?
Sure.
This is way too much money or whatever he's asking for. But if you fire him, there's the other half. It's like he's done the, like you said, he's the architect of the program. He's gotten us where we were. We were literally nothing before him. There has to be some sort of loyalty. You got to change some other things around first. So I do want to go in his defense saying, he's in a tough spot. There is no right answer here. I do agree with you.
I agree, by the way.
I agree with you that you have to at least have the conversation with Dan McDonnell. Say, look, this was unacceptable. I know that you just went to the College World Series last year, but before that, it was borderline unacceptable before that. So you kind of brought yourself back to the point where we're all comfortable again. We're like, Dan still got it. He might not have won the big one yet, but he still got it. He's still taking us there. But then you have this outlier season where you have the best player in college baseball, one of the best players to ever put on a Louisville jersey, and you can't. It's embarrassing. Yeah. So it's one where if you want to bring him back, you need to sit down with Dan McDonald, have a statement, say, look, this can't be an extensive contract. It can't be this much lucrative money. If you want to bring these guys back, if you want to bring certain players in, we're making cuts with SIDs. We can't be giving you them all the money under the sun. But if they did go another direction, I couldn't fault them for it either. It's a really tough spot for Josh Hurd to be in right now.
It's a super, again, I wholeheartedly agree. If you were to part ways with Dan, which I don't think is going to happen, and let me say officially, I don't think should happen. This is a guy, I know missing 4 tournaments in 6 years is by the last, the standard set since 2007 is unacceptable, but it bears repeating that that's the standard that McDonald himself set. This is a program that had been to a grand total of 1 NCAA tournament before McDonald got the job here and had never won a single regional game. They went to the tournament, I think, in 2002, 2003, and were 2 and out. McDonald has now taken this program to, 5 College World Series trips, and for a while there, we were used to hosting regionals every single spring. But missing the tournament 4 times in 6 years is bad for a program that is investing still to this day as much into baseball as U of L is. And a big part of that investment is into McDonald himself, who, like I said, is the 12th highest paid coach in college baseball. And that's on a contract that now is a little bit outdated. I think you're right in part of the conversation has to be, look, I know you're used to getting raises when your contract is up. Tom Church invested heavily into sports like baseball. We gave you a new deal when some other schools came calling, and you probably could have jumped for the SEC. That raise isn't going to come this time. If you want to re-up for the same ballpark number, that's fine. But we can't make you the 5th highest paid coach in college baseball when, one, for as much success as you've had, we've never played in the championship series. We've never won a national title. And 2, from an outsider's perspective, it certainly appears as if the program is on a downward trajectory. So you've got to have that conversation with him and make sure that he's okay with that. Assuming he is, I'm still all for Dan having the job. I think he recognizes that this is not acceptable, again, based on the standard that he himself set. And he talked after the game last night about on 970 WGTK with the coverage about, I recognize the pitfalls of this pitching staff. I recognize the shortcomings of the staff, and I acknowledge that things have to get better. And that's an important point to make here. I read those stats about where we stand in the ACC. This is a trend. This isn't oh my God, like we had a terrible year, you've got to make changes because it was so bad. We were, despite being a College World Series team a year ago, we were 12th in the ACC in ERA last season and dead last in walks given up. In 2024, 13th in ERA, and again, that's out of 14 teams back in 2024, 3rd in walks. That better, ERA still sucked. The only time we've had a decent pitching staff since the COVID-canceled season of 2020 was the 2023 squad, and that wasn't elite by any stretch of the imagination. We were 5th in the ACC in ERA, 7th in walks. 2022, 10th in ERA, 14th in walks. 2021, 9th in ERA, 13th in walks, and again, that's out of just 14 teams. The pitching, which had been rock solid from 2007 through 2020, has gone from rock solid to downright bad. And that leads us to what I think is the bigger conversation that everybody wants to talk about, which is what do you do with Roger Williams? And I've laid this out a number of times before. I'll do it again for maybe people that have not listened to. Not everyone catches every second of the show, which you should. But it's not as straightforward as the pitching has been bad for the last 4 or 5 years. We have to make a change. Now, maybe it should be, but I don't think in Dan McDonald's eyes it is. And for that, you need a little bit of a history lesson. When McDonald comes here in 2007, the biggest coup that he had was getting Roger Williams to come into the program. Roger Williams was at North Carolina, which was one of the preeminent programs in college baseball, still is a very, very good college baseball program. And he was seen as like the pitching coach in the eastern half of the United States, in this area. And to get him at Louisville, which, like I said, had been to one NCAA tournament in its entire existence, and at that time was playing in the Big East, which was a bad baseball conference, was amazing. I mean, people were at the baseball community in this area was just beside itself that we could land Roger Williams. And he comes here and immediately has a huge impact. I think in year one, Zach Pitts is the Big East Pitcher of the Year. He's just churning out Pitchers of the Year, and we're ranking super high in the country in team ERA and strikeouts, and we're sending guys to the MLB draft and all this stuff. And during this time, Roger has several opportunities to leave for head coaching jobs. He has several opportunities to be the pitching coach at bigger and better programs in the SEC and the West Coast. And every step of the way, he is extremely loyal to Dan McDonnell and says thanks, but no thanks. And a big part of the reason why, we're going to the College World Series in 2013 and 2014, and Brendan McKay is doing what he's doing, Kyle Funkhauser is doing what he's doing, is because Roger Williams chose to stick it out with this program. And I think having that knowledge, it's going to be extremely tough for Dan McDonnell when things get a little bit tough now in the opposite direction to say, hey, appreciate your 2 decades of loyalty. You got to go. Having said that, he may not have a choice. Josh Hurd, I think, recognizes that we are in a situation where if you're going to invest in programs outside of football and men's basketball, you sure as bleep better be getting returns of the highest possible level. And I think he's going to have to relay that message to Dan, and he's going to show him the same pitching stats that we're talking about right now and say, can you guarantee that things are going to change? And if so, how? And I think that we're in a position now where you got to tell Dan you got to make a change. I would love to think that Roger himself would recognize the situation and say, look, I'm up there. The game has changed. I don't enjoy this the way that I mean, you can't. We're still rarely having pitchers in the program for 3-4 years now. There's not quite as much turnover as there is with men's basketball or football, but there's still a lot of turnover. And maybe Roger says, look, I can't. The things that made me a great coach 15 years ago, I'm no longer able to do those because of the circumstances of the sport. It's time for me to make this as easy as possible on Josh and Dan. I'm stepping away. Bring somebody else new in here. Let's see if we can get the pitching results back. I don't know if that'll happen. I think it's the best case scenario because if not, some conversations are going to get ugly and awkward and weird. But, I mean, are we kind of in agreement that you've got to make massive changes within the program, specifically when it comes to pitching and defense?
I think so, 100%.
You've got to.
I mean, at some point, this is a business. You got to have the hard conversations. I get he's been loyal throughout his entire career almost. But, I mean, is there not something we can do? Like, if it comes down to that, there's like look, Roger, you can be on staff. You can be like a consultant or something. But we gotta have some major changes to the leadership here. We gotta have some major changes to the development cycle. Maybe the way we train these pitchers. Maybe the routines they go through. Like you said, it's not working anymore. Doesn't matter if it's in a new era or not. Whatever is going on is not working. So at some point, you just got to have the conversation of, if you're Josh, you got to say, look, Dan, we want to keep you here. You've done all this for the program. We want to give you, we want to extend you, give you another shot to kind of revitalize yourself once again. But Roger's got to be changed. Yeah. Whether you want to keep him as a consultant or something has to change.
Yeah. How does an unpaid assistant to the pitching coach position sound?
The assistant to the manager.
Would you like it? We can give you cards. You can still wear a uniform in the dugout. That'll be fine. You can have a fun time. Someone's got to change. That's the long and short of it. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little Cavs-Knicks, a crazy, crazy game last night at Madison Square Garden. Maybe not good look for the Cavs and their future in the series. We'll be back after the break. It's the Rutherford Show on the Big X.
We got 5 minutes for us to
hour here. Mike Rutherford Show, 1450, 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. We got Matt Childers in the house. Almost called him producer Ian. Intern Ian in the house. I mean, I've stopped calling you producer Matt. I think you're just Matt Childers now.
I think that's just like once you take over the producer chair, that's what happens.
When
you actually become the producer, you're not producer anymore.
I don't think I ever referred to Roman as producer Roman.
He told me that when he first started, maybe not you, but other people used to call him that.
I feel like that's happened. Well, Trevor was never producer Trevor either. I don't know exactly how the name transition works, but yeah, I feel like when you've got new producers that you don't really know, I always go with producer first, and then when they actually become like full-time producers, I just stop referring to them as producers. You can get a full name at that point. I don't know exactly how it works, but the intern thing is always. We had intern Jenna, who famously cussed on air and did not know that it was a problem. Just straight dropped an F-bomb. It was like the worst one, too. She's like, I didn't know you couldn't say it. I'm like, you've been here for a month and you've listened. Have we once ever used those words? That was a great moment. Trevor made her sit in the corner. That was also
deserved. Yeah,
it was bad. And we've had a couple. We had intern Jacob, who was a UK fan, sat in for like one day, heard us rip Devin Booker, and then immediately went to the Kentucky show. He was done with that. So we're happy to have another intern here. We'll see how it goes this summer. Speaking of the NBA, last night Donovan Mitchell looking to start the Eastern Conference Finals. He's there for the first time. He's hoping to lead his squad to the NBA Finals for the first time since he's been in the NBA. It's going great for a while. I mean, hand up. I turned the game off. I walked away. They're up by 22 points with less than 8 minutes to go. They have dominated this thing from start to finish. They've taken the raucous crowd at Madison Square Garden out of the game. And I only start tuning in because I start seeing people be like, hold on a little bit. Like, what's James Harden doing? I'm seeing the comments, and I've got the game on the outside TV. I walk out to the kitchen. I see that the lead is down to 8 at that point. I'm like, I guess I better watch this. And it very much, as the lead dwindled and dwindled and dwindled, to me, this became all right, you've got to win this game now at this point. I feel like if you blow a 22-point lead in game one on the opponent's home floor, when you've thoroughly dominated them and you're already seen as the underdog going into the series, it's over. If you don't win this game, the game goes to overtime. We had the very rare Mike Breen premature bang.
Yes.
Did you see that?
On Sam Merrill's shot?
Yes. It goes halfway down. He's like, it's like I've never heard Mike Breen mess up. He was ready for the moment. Some may argue too ready and jumped the gun a little bit. A premature bang. The worst kind of bangs. He calls that too early. The game goes to overtime. And I think most people watching this, like the Cavs, I don't know how you recover if you don't pull this thing out. And they got demolished in overtime. I think they forgot that they actually had Donovan Mitchell on their team. And the Knicks not only win, they cover the 6.5 point spread. I can't imagine being on Cavs plus 6.5 last night. I told you they were going to cover. I just was very wrong about how it was going to happen. Matt, I'm saying it right now. This is a radio hot take thing. Series is over. Cavs have no chance to come back from this. This is a devastating mental blow. I'm not saying they're going to get swept. I've got very, very, very little faith now in their ability to actually go out there and win this series. Am I overreacting?
No, this series is over.
It's over.
It's over. I have two takes from this game. One, I've said this multiple times. I do not understand how Mitchell Robinson has an NBA contract. He makes $15 million a year to go on the floor, get fouled, and miss free throws.
2 of 8.
2 of 8. It extended the lead to 22, 24 points, like you said. They take him out for the rest of the game. My other take from this game, Kenny Atkinson is a terrorist to basketball.
Okay.
I was talking to Roman about this on Run with Roman. It's comparative to Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl not running the ball on the 2-yard line of game management mess ups.
I don't think you're wrong.
Look, I actually would give Pete Carroll the leg up on this one in terms of that's a one-play moment. The entire world on TV knows exactly what you're going to run. You tried to trick them. Like, you thought in your head you were right. You know what I mean? Like, that in that situation, it's one of those where if it works, you're a genius. If it doesn't, you're a screw-up. Kenny Atkinson had 24 points, 12 possessions to say, James Harden, you're 36 years old. You've been out there for way too long. Jalen Brunson has you as barbecue chicken out there. Let's get you out, give you some rest, put somebody else on him, and slow the momentum down. And he just didn't. He just left him out there the entirety of the fourth quarter and the entirety of overtime. I'm not even a Cavs fan. I'm excited to watch Don win, obviously. As a basketball fan, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually, not just in basketball, possibly the worst game management I've ever seen in sport.
A 44-11 run where the Knicks primarily did the same thing over and over and over. And they talked about it after the game. They were like, it's no secret what we were doing. We're going right after James Harden. That was the weirdest thing to me about this entire, like you said, it's one thing to, because what was his defense? Let me see. The quote after the game was,
he was like, I kept my timeouts in my pocket because of something like that.
Well, but he got asked, did you ever think about benching James Harden on defensive possessions? And he said, no. He's been one of our best defenders in these playoffs. I mean,
who playoffs are you talking about?
Outrageous. I trust him. Great hands. Didn't think about that. The throwing in the great hands, by the way, is the funniest part of that of the quote. But he's like, I didn't even consider taking him out. Like you said, the Pete Carroll thing, it's one play. He's not the only coach who's tried to sneak one in by throwing for a touchdown on the 1 yard line instead of running it when everyone thinks that they're going to run the ball. It's one mistake. This is like being punched in the face 15 times in a row in a boxing match and just not getting your gloves up and just being like, he's going to miss one of these times, I guess. Like, what are you doing? How are you not recognizing what the biggest problem is? Like, it was like watching a car crash in slow motion.
I don't like ESPN broadcasting for games anymore anyway. I think the NBA Finals last year was just horrendous. Something that was really frustrating to me when watching this was Richard Jefferson constantly going over on the mic and saying, so, Mike, what do you think was going on? What do you think is leading to Jalen Brunson having this streak right now? What do you think the Knicks are doing correctly? I'm like, what do you mean,
He's
Richard?
Driving to the basket for uncontested layups on every possession.
Every time that when they put Sam Merrill or they put Don or they put anybody else on Jalen Brunson, they just have the easiest switched over, and then I can basically see Jalen Brunson on the TV licking his lips, ready to go. Like, I don't mean, what do you mean, Richard? What do you mean? What's happening? It was horrible.
It was bad, and they scored 3 points in overtime. They looked defeated before the OT tip happened. Donovan played well. I don't think they went enough to him at the end of the game. 12 of 23 from the field, 29 points. He had 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 steals in the game as well. Like this, though, do we attribute any of this to him? I know Harden's the easy scapegoat, but at some point when, like we said, there's a slow-motion car crash happening, the player that
there is a part of it Don should have stepped up.
At some point, even if the coach isn't taking out the guy who's killing you defensively, there's got to be a moment where you step in. If you are one of the 10 best players in the NBA and you're trying to still climb that ladder and you're trying to get to an NBA championship for the first time and maybe redefine your legacy or whatever, there's got to be a moment where you step up and do something to stop the flood. And that didn't happen last night. So, I'm not saying that he's primarily responsible for what took place last night, but he plays a part. You're the face of this franchise. You're the face of this team. You're the guy that everybody goes to when things are going wrong, and you're the go-get-a-bucket guy to calm everything down, and he didn't have a chance to do that last night, or he didn't step up and do it himself. There's at least some responsibility on his shoulders.
100%. Like I've had that same exact thought last night. I was like, dude, especially in overtime, there's plenty of chances to win that game. I know the Knicks were hot that moment, but I mean, they kept it close for a little bit. They were at arm's reach. They had Evan Mobley bringing the ball up the floor sometimes,
yeah.
And I'm like, Don, go get the ball. He's already down the corner waiting. It gave me the feeling that the players and Kenny Atkinson itself were like, dude, James, you're one of the greatest scorers the NBA's ever seen. You can go out there and get a bucket on anybody you want almost at any time.
Why is everybody catering to James Harden's ego at this point? He's 36. He could care less. He's done enough. He's fine.
That's what I'm saying. But I think that they're looking at him like, dude, you're not going to let – almost like they're defending him like, you can't let Jalen Brunson do this to you. It looked like – have you ever seen Cars 3? You ever seen Cars 3?
I don't think
I've seen the movie.
So
I've seen Cars. I've not seen Cars 3.
in Cars 3,
Okay.
Lightning McQueen at the very beginning of the movie goes.
Very excited
He's
for
in a
this.
race. He's in a race, and he pulls up against the new racer, Jackson Storm.
Okay.
Jackson Storm beats him, okay? And he comes up, and Lightning McQueen's, he's humble at this point. He's one of these Piston Cubs. Jackson Storm goes, "Oh, Lightning McQueen, I watched you as a kid. It's so nice to finally beat you." And, there's this meme. There's this meme of Jackson Storm passing up Lightning McQueen, and the commentator's like, he's fading. He's fading fast. That's Jalen Brunson versus James Harden. James Harden's Lightning McQueen. We saw last night the genuine, wow, this guy's really this old. He's not what I grew up watching. I watched myself age watching James Harden get absolutely barbecue chickened out there.
You got there. That was I was curious how the metaphor was going to be enclosed. You circled around well. That was good. I like that. Cars 3.
I'm sad that you've never seen the meme. It's really funny.
I haven't seen. I feel like now that you say that, there's a small bell dinging in my brain.
It's just corresponding to every single time a younger person beats an older person that's a famous. I think the first time that Wemby beat LeBron, I saw the exact same meme.
Okay. By the way, in case you're wondering what the numbers were, Donovan Mitchell in the fourth quarter and overtime, 3 points, 1 rebound, no assists, 1 turnover, 1 of 6 from the field. I mean, the 1 of 6 is the number that stands out to me. Even if you're going down, I'd rather see him be 1 of 11 in that situation. You've got to be the guy taking those shots. You can't take when your entire world is collapsing over a 17-minute span. You got to be taking more than 6 shots. That's just you're a star. You're the star on this team. Step up. You got to do something a little bit more, man. But they are now down 1-0. They got to play 1 more in Madison Square Garden. I mean, intern in. Do you think the Cavs are cooked now at this point?
Well, I'm gonna have some hope. I'm a hopeful person. I think the Cavs still have a shot if they can just have some actual defensive answers compared to just putting Harden out there for the whole second half, like Kenny Atkinson did right there. Don't know why he thought James Harden was a defensive player. It's just dumbest thing I've ever heard. But yeah, if they can fix up their defensive struggles right there and actually seal the deal when they have the big lead like that in games, I feel like they have a chance to actually make a comeback here and probably win in a series of 6, I'd say.
Great job not cussing, by the way. Well done.
I know, broadcasting 101. Jenna, you gotta know better.
First spiel, no cussing. Just he nailed it right there. We'll see what happens moving forward. This is just I would love to see somebody pull up the stats, and I don't even know how you would find this sort of thing. But after a team blows a huge lead in game 1, there's no. I feel like it's got to be a 95% win rate for the team that does the big comeback, especially when they're favored. We'll see. This will be a big test of the Cavs' mental fortitude if they can come back and be competitive. I've got this bad feeling they just get housed in game 2.
I mean, you got to think this happened to the Knicks last year.
Yeah,
they were up 15, I think, against the Pacers, and then that was when Aaron Nesmith went crazy in the fourth quarter, turned that game around, and that basically sealed the series for them. So I can't you're going up against a team who just felt this last season do it to you on their home court in a bigger comeback. I mean, I don't know. I don't see how it's one of those where you're playing the mental battle. How strong is your team mentally? I don't know. Ian, I'm glad you're hopeful because I want Don to pull this out.
So do I. I'm a very faithful person, and I like to keep all things to God, so I hope that God's going to help the Cleveland Cavaliers win this game and
maybe
get
their
Donovan
only
his
hope.
trophy.
Maybe their only hope at
Might
this
be.
point. That might be all they've got going for them. By the way, are the Reds blowing a big lead? Okay, no.
They were up 5-1. I think it's 7-4 now. They're still good.
It was just 5-4 a second ago. So my Reds text group, I had a buddy who was like, we're gonna take the series from the hottest team in the MLB, and then the very next text was, "Whoops, sorry." So I was terrified about what had just happened, but we're battling back right now.
Yeah, low just doubled.
It's amazing what happens when you bench the guy hitting 133 for a game and just see what happens, or the 2 guys hitting 133 that you automatically go out there and you have 13 hits. Welcome to the lineup, PJ Higgins. Let's go. Stay out there. Also, I never want to see Key Brian Hayes playing third base again. Suarez, you're on third base when you play now. Sal Stewart made a great play at third today, and he's 3 for 4 in the game. We don't need guys hitting 133. Here's my big theory on this. I know they've got Hayes signed to a long-term deal, but people are like, well, why are they still running him out there every single day? He's got a bobblehead night coming up at Great American. They don't want to DFA him before bobblehead night.
Wait, We
They're
have
having a Key Brian Hayes bobblehead night. It's happening.
Why?
Because I think he was the one guy that they knew.
They just hadn't had one?
They hadn't had one for him, and he's like the one guy that they knew was going to be on the team long term.
They're like, here you go, Brian.
It makes
Like, it's actually Key Brian.
It's Key, yeah, yeah. They spell it with Key. It's Saturday, May 23rd. Key Brian Hayes bobblehead night.
Good for him, man.
If we keep winning, I'm sorry, I know it's his bobblehead. You can't play him on bobblehead.
You
on
can't.
bobblehead night. You can't play. It just reminds me of one of my favorite going to Reds game stories. I'd just gotten back. It was my summer before my senior year of college, and I'd worked in Iowa that summer at a newspaper. I came back in town. I think it was like the Reds were actually in contention at this point. Shocker, they didn't actually make the playoffs. But they were hosting the Cardinals, the Cardinals were in first in the Central. We were in second, and a bunch of us drove up there to go to the game, and it was Dave Concepcion bobblehead night. And went to the game. Reds win in walk-off fashion. It's crazy. Like, we all get pretty hammered. I stopped drinking so I could drive back to Louisville. But we're downtown. Yeah, we're downtown. I can't make that drunk hammered. I can't make that drive hammered. But we're downtown, and this guy, this very interesting-looking man, is just like, hey. And I'm like, oh God, downtown Cincinnati, here we go. And I roll down my window, and he goes, "You got a bobblehead on top of your car, man." And I think somebody had left their bobblehead on top of the car. I was like, "Thank you, sir." And we saved the bobblehead. There was also some guy, speaking of people that look kind of the same way, on the street as I drove down here Taylorsville Road, who looked like he was very much either on drugs or just high on life, just playing the hell out of an air guitar as I pulled in. Really set the tone for today's show. Like, he was in his own world, just strumming, Matt. Every now and then you see those types of people in this area.
I've only ever actually gotten to go to one Reds bobblehead night. Can you possibly guess which one it is?
Oh, God.
I'll give you a hint. It's not a player.
Not a player. Jack McKeon.
Mm-mm. You have any other guess?
Gapper.
It's a theme.
Oh, God. So it may not even have an affiliation with the Reds.
It does not.
Okay, what is it?
Star Wars night. They give out Stormtrooper bobbleheads.
Christ, of course it was.
Oh, it's awesome. It's on my dresser right now. I love it.
That's amazing.
Of course. Well, Ian, are you a Star Wars guy?
I'm a big Star Wars guy.
There we go.
Thank you, Ian.
Now he's got
Episode
some.
3 is my favorite episode. What about you, Matt?
Now he's got some backing.
It's between either 3 or Empire Strikes Back.
That's great. That's great take right there. 5 is great, but I've always been a big prequel lover, so I'd say 3 is probably my favorite.
This once again, I'm finding out just from the young guys that the prequels now are cool. When I was growing up, everyone hated the prequels, and now everyone's like, the sequels suck. The prequels are good.
Yeah, when
the trend continues here.
When you get something worse, you start to appreciate the less worse things.
There it is.
And you know what? I bet Ian's not even a virgin. I bet he just likes it.
Don't put him on the spot like that.
Put him on the spot like that, Matt. Jeez, I can't say this stuff on radio, man.
He's probably got family listening right now. What are you doing?
My dad's probably on the show right. He's probably watching the show right now. My mom's at a meeting right now.
He better be.
Soon.
People have said that the show has gotten more virginal since we added Matt because he's a big Star Wars guy, admittedly. So Matt has pushed back against. He has an active girlfriend, folks.
Active
girlfriend.
She's alive. She is breathing.
She's a real live person. She
just doesn't go to this school.
She's a very She met her in Niagara.
Was she in Canada?
He met her up in Niagara Falls. She just you probably didn't know her. It was a summer camp. It's just fine. All right, we also have to get into this. There's good news on the people kept freaking out about the Flory Badunga stuff. Ian's figuring out that we don't have a cough button in here, by the way.
I wish.
we don't have to. We actually, again, we have one. It just does not work. So there's that. Somehow the production room has one. We don't have one. It's okay.
Strange.
There was a lot of chatter about Flory Badunga going through the NBA draft process. I try to tell you guys every step of the way. I'm not worried about this. He's going to play for Louisville. 95% certain he's going to be a Cardinal. They're not going to draft somebody who's a 6'9" center who can't stretch defenses in the NBA, not in today's modern game. He has now signed with Louisville officially. This is via Matt Zenitz, who covers college basketball for CBS Sports. He and Chris Hummer both last night reported Badunga, he's been going through the draft process, but he's signed with Louisville. He becomes now, I believe, the second commit from the transfer portal to officially sign his paperwork to play for Louisville, at least that we know of. Carter Knox is the other one. I'm not saying that there's an issue with anybody else. I expect everybody who has committed, I mean, let's be real, they've signed other paperwork already with U of L. They just have not signed the, national letter of intent.
They've signed the Tyron Stokes paperwork on.
They've signed the big paperwork that allows them to take the Tyron Stokes type pictures. They're good on that front. So Floyd Badunga will play for Louisville. It's like I said, this is not a huge piece of news, but there is that little just exhale, right? At least a minimal exhale that the worst case scenario is now officially off the table, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this time of the year, especially in this era of college sports, you never know what can happen at any moment, especially when you have a player that's flirting with the draft. Maybe it's, there's a chance that Flory could have had a Milan moment where he's like, dude, my dream has been to go to the NBA because of, I'm, like you said, I'm 6'9", I can't really stretch the floor. Maybe it's not an amazing offer, but maybe a team has given me an offer that I really can't pass up. Maybe I don't think my draft stock's going to go up too much the next season. Maybe you take a chance on your dream. So there's always that. So it's always nice to get a guy like that locked down who's going to be your main defensive player locked in finally for this team, so you can kind of move on. You don't have to worry about it anymore.
We're seeing some of these stay-go decisions now becoming official. We were talking yesterday about Morris Johnson officially declaring that he's coming back to Pitt for next season. I'm going to take a shot at somebody here. What is Malachi Moreno's agent doing? How do you not, in this day and age, even if you are fully committed to saying, hey, if I play college basketball next season, it's going to be at the same program that I spent last year. Even if that's your mentality, you lose so much bargaining power when you don't have that portal element out there. Because if Malachi Moreno were to announce tomorrow that he's coming back to college basketball, with Morris Johnson officially out at Michigan, maybe Michigan would say, hey, we could use another big body down low. You could be our new Adaimara. We love playing with two bigs. We'll throw something at you. And at the very least, even if you had no interest whatsoever in leaving Lexington, the agent could go back to Mark Pope, who still has $1 billion to work with because nobody wants to go play for him, and say, just so you know, Michigan's offering us $4.5 million to come play. Other schools have reached out. The market for centers this season, it's never going to be bigger than it has been for the past 4 weeks. And the leverage that you have just by threatening to talk to another school could have easily gotten him, I think, another $500,000 from Kentucky if, in fact, he does come back to school. It's almost malpractice if you're an agent and you're not telling your player, we need to officially at least announce that we are portal eligible, even if we are willing to take substantially less money to go play for Kentucky, just because we may not have to take substantially less money. We can get you paid what other schools would give you, and you can still play for Kentucky, but we at least have to have that bargaining chip on the table. What is that guy doing, Matt?
No, I don't know. I spoke with Roman about this whenever it first got announced, when he officially said that, hey, if I'm not going to the NBA, I'm going to Kentucky. It made no sense to me at all, because that was, one of the earliest grabs of the portal. There are big names that weren't even in the portal yet when he said that. You didn't shop yourself around. You didn't rise your price up. And now I feel like a lot of the draft leeway, or I guess the people that are really heavy on him going to the draft now, I talked to Stephen Peake. I've talked to a bunch of people. I feel like that comes from they're seeing what Kentucky's roster looks like now. I think that they were expecting Mark Pope to go out there and sign a bunch of these really big names they told Malachi they were going to get. And now it's like, hey, Malachi, yeah, you could come back. You're probably going to be the best player on a pretty mid Kentucky team. Is that going to build your draft stock? The only way it really does is if he just goes out there and balls out, 22 a night, 11 rebound kind of guy every single night, and you're like, wow, this guy's really carrying Kentucky. I don't think he's developed like that yet. So I agree with you. I think it's malpractice of his agent not to do this. This is the complete opposite of the Sananda Frew situation, where Sananda Frew literally was like, I want to come back to Louisville. I already live here. I already know this. I know this coach. Yeah. I know the staff. I know the players. I know the system. I like the fans. He's like, I'll just take whatever you give me. And his agent was like, hell no. We're not doing that. We're going to at least go shop around first. This is that. But, he's getting more money than Frew would have gotten, obviously. Yeah. But, yeah.
Frew got 3.2.
He got 3.2?
3.2 for that?
3.2.
Oh my gosh.
Moreno should be getting more than he should, probably. Maybe. Fair point.
They're definitely going to pay him more than that.
But I think based on potential alone, the fact that Moreno, nobody had Sananda Frew as a first-round pick. He was more productive last season on a better team than Moreno was at Kentucky, but he also had less competition, even though he did get benched towards the end of the year. But Moreno could have easily said, hey, look, they got me going 22nd in the draft, and right now somebody's going to throw $6 million at him. Like, that's the market for centers. It's insane. And Kentucky's got that money lying around.
I would say if I'm his agent, I'm just saying, look, like, you up that number to 6 or 7, or we're going to the draft.
It's a crazy spot right now, especially, I mean, Kentucky's got no backup. I mean, they got the kid from Washington who, like,
they got that jerk Russian guy, didn't they?
They got all these guys that maybe they're really good, maybe they're not. We don't know anything about them, these foreign players. How much do you really want to bank on those guys being your entire front court at this point? We kind of did it with Frew last year, blew up in our face, and Frew was, by college standards, one of the more productive centers that was available in the portal this past season. So it's a huge risk, but they got a week to figure out what they're going to do, and Moreno's got to figure out what he's going to do over the next 7 days. Let's take a break. When we come back, it's your hour on the Gameday Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. We'll check in with the YouTube Nation as well. Get your thoughts heard on the radio. It's coming up after the break. Rutherford Show, Big X. hour number 2 here at the Mike Rutherford Show, 1450, 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. I'm finding out during the break that James Murdoch has bought half of Vox Media, which is my company. So should be an interesting 24 hours here as we figure out what's going to happen. Apparently, I guess SB Nation, along with 4 other sites, we're going to kind of split in 2 with the other Vox Media sites. So
That's not what I thought you were going to say. You found out in the break.
I mean, it's been just very interesting text, very interesting email right there. I'm like, oh, so
I found something else interesting in the break.
what's that?
Today's Flory Badunga's birthday.
Hey, happy birthday, Flory. I thought it was going to be something cooler. The way that you were, at least you didn't do the Roman thing where you hit the
breaking
news thing, which only.
Last time we missed Pat Kelsey's birthday.
I said it was Pat Kelsey's birthday.
Not until somebody texted it in.
I still said it. We still got there. Don't worry about it. Yeah, Roman used to use the breaking news alert, and he only used it the right way maybe 2 of the 15 times he hit it. Because one time it was like, hey, we just got a commitment in football and it's a big deal. I was like, all right, that's the proper use. And then every other time it was Arsenal just scored to tie things up with Tottenham, and that's good. And I was like, come on, man, like this isn't what you're using it the wrong way. It's not happening. I love hearing it, but I feel like I couldn't get excited when Roman would hit the button because I thought it was going to be something ridiculous.
The funniest time he ever did it, like when I was on air, was we did it for Mondays with Dalton Pence, and Dalton and I were talking about transfer portal stuff. It was the same time when everybody was like expecting Juke Harris to commit it like any moment. Oh, God. In the middle of the show, Roman stops everybody and goes, guys, we have some breaking news right now. Dalton and I like perk up. We're like, did this happen really right now? And he goes, Doc just texted in and told us he listed his favorite radio personalities that speak about Louisville and just read them out. Dalton and I just sat in silence for like 2 minutes on air. Like, this was.
Did he only do it because he was on it?
Yes,
of course he did.
There was only 3 of us, and I think Dalton was last. He was just like, it's like I forgot it was either me or Roman, and then Dalton. He was like, I just thought that you guys wanted to know that.
That's a tough look. I mean, I'm assuming Roman was number 1 if he wanted to bring that to people's attention.
I'm guessing so. I can't remember what the list was. I was very angry.
Kentucky's also announced today, speaking of breaking news that nobody cares about, Kentucky and Gonzaga have ended their year series and won't complete the final 2. Is that what happens when you beat Kentucky by 52 points?
I will say 30 points at halftime was enough for them.
I mean, they kicked their ass twice. This last year was the most embarrassing UK loss in a long time. I guess that's what happens when you beat Kentucky too much and by too many points. I would like to find out if they would do it to Louisville because we got to start beating them by too much and by too many points. One last thing to talk about before we get to the Gameday Mens Health text line. Again, 512-414-1450. So, we had the whole thing. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I can't keep track. But Jeff Goodman sent this area into a blaze by saying, Milan Momcilovic, if he comes back to college, I expect it to be Louisville and St. John's. They're the 2, and left out Kentucky entirely. And like I said, I reached out to the people that would know here, and they were all like, yeah, I don't know why he's doing that. Kentucky is very clearly the leader. They've got more money. They've been in contact for longer than we have. We're going to try, but we recognize that there are certain areas where we can't. But basically, they've got more money than we do to spend on him right now. If that's what it comes down to, he's going to be a Wildcat next year. So everybody was kind of like, well, why is Goodman doing this? Is he just trolling UK fans? Well, today they talk about it again. He and Rob Doster, who I'm trying to get on the show tomorrow. We'll see if we can make that happen. He was talking about Momcilovic, and he said, quote, he's looking for a first-round promise, but I think he'll come back to school, and I think it's probably a Kentucky versus Louisville battle. And then 2 hours later, responded to that Field of 68 tweet and said, I forgot to mention St. John's is also heavily in the mix with Momcilovic if he withdraws from the NBA draft. I mean, I think Goodman's just screwing with everybody. Everybody knows the 3 schools that are trying to get him if he does, in fact, choose to play one more season of college basketball. It's us, it's Kentucky, and it's St. John's. And the problem for us is Kentucky's got a lot of money because they haven't gotten as many players as we have. And St. John's has Mike Rapoli, who's a billionaire who's already told Rick Pitino the last 3 years, I'll get you whatever you need. And right now that Red Storm roster is sorely lacking in star power. They need a big fish. He's the biggest one that's out there. I'm worried that Rick would go to Rapoli and say, hey, this is where we need you. Give us a blank check. let's beat Kentucky and Louisville for this kid, and let's go to war. Like I said, I think if we land Momcilovic, it will be primarily just because he sees us as the best fit for him and maybe the best of the three programs pursuing him when it comes to their ability to win big in 26-27. Because I don't think we can compete financially with those other two schools. We've got money left over. We have the money that we were putting aside for maybe John Blackwell, maybe Juke Harris, but it's not what Kentucky has left over and not what I think St. John's can build up if they go to the people that have all that money. So we'll see how it plays out. First things first, we got to figure out if he's going to stay in the NBA draft or not. He's got a week to make that happen. All right, let's go to the YouTube chat first today. We'll check in on the YouTube chat. Again, go to Big X Sports Radio Louisville. Click the live button when we're on. Boom, you're chatting. Mr. Hobbs says, let's hope that Dan sees the issues and makes the changes himself and isn't forced to by the administration. I don't want another Chris Mack situation that devolves into us losing Dan. We've had Dan on the show a number of times. I've heard him talk to other shows and after games. I believe that he knows that there's a serious problem. I also know him well enough to believe that he's not going to just cut ties with Roger Williams because he thinks it's the right thing to do or because he feels pressure to do it. He's going to push back if they tell him, like, you need to fire this guy. And, yeah, I mean, I do worry about what that does to the baseball program. I worry about, what Josh Hurd would do in turn. Is this a you need to fire Roger or you're gone type situation? It has the potential to be ugly. And I think Josh and Dan have a good working relationship now. Obviously, Dan has talked the last few years. I feel like after every season before this one, he's talked about wanting to have more facilities, wanting to have more NIL. They took a lot of the money that was earmarked for those facility upgrades and turned it into money to build competitive rosters. I mean, look, after last year, everybody was like, we got to keep Zion Rose. Zion's an All-American. He's one of the best players in the country. Every big school in America is going to come calling. We got to keep this guy. They got the money to keep Zion Rose. Lucas Moore, All-American. We got to keep Lucas Moore. They get the money to keep Lucas Moore. They found money to keep their best players, to return the core of a College World Series team this season, and then they didn't even flirt with making the NCAA tournament. When something like that happens, and you're in the financial crunch of all financial crunches, like, it can't just remain business as usual. You've got to have uncomfortable conversations and say, look, man, we can't dedicate these resources to a program that, when it does produce revenue for the school, it's minimal compared to men's basketball and football. Like, you're going to have to produce, and we're going to have to cut costs at some point. Where would you like to see those costs cut? And that's for Josh and Dan to hash out between them. Okay, the guy who keeps track of my outfit says, Mike wore this shirt last time on April 14th. There it is.
You have a guy that does that?
There's a guy that keeps track. I met him at Taco Chosa a few weeks ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, he keeps track of. He lets me know how long it's been since I've worn the last thing. I actually thought that I'd worn this more recently. It's a very comfortable Masters shirt.
Definitely looks like it. Yes.
Yeah, it's very.
Where'd you get that from?
I went to the Masters this year. That Sunday. Ian may not know that, so I'm happy to let him know that I was at the Masters.
That's pretty cool. I'll allow the.
It was very cool, Ian. It was awesome. It was. I'm letting everybody know. I've basically.
Mike didn't bring us back any gnomes, by the way. Not even one.
I've got my own gnome. It's in my office at home. We have another gnome. We have a gnome ornament, and we have a mini gnome. We're selling one of them, maybe.
Well, match your chance.
This is I'm at the point now where I'm like the girl who got engaged a couple months ago, and she's nervous that people are forgetting that she's engaged, and so she just posts those like every now and then, like an Instagram post of the ring, just like like an early wedding photo shoot. You don't want to lose that attention. I was showing off for everybody that week and a half that we were back from Augusta, and now people have kind of forgotten. So I got to remind people every now and then. Oh yeah, by the way, I went to Masters Sunday. Don't worry about it. Tartan Choice also says, how would you compare the talent in this year's portal class to last year's? Before the season ended, you were worried that there may not be a Yaxel. I still don't think there's a Yaxel in this year's portal class. As far as a guy who, I mean, Flory's the number one ranked player according to most people that rank this sort of thing, and I think it's a deserved ranking. I don't think that Flory is a Like, I'll be surprised if he's a first-team All-American just because he doesn't have the type of offensive upside as a guy like Yaxel did last year, or if he's Yaxel was the runner-up for National Player of the Year. I don't know if there's that type of player in this year's portal. But I do think that he can have the same type of impact because of how good he is defensively. I mean, he was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's probably, besides Ruben Chinyelu at Florida, the second best defensive player in all of college basketball. And, let's be real. We reward offense when it comes to individual accolades more than we reward defense. But I still think he can have the same type of impact at Louisville that Yaxel did at Michigan without getting the same type of individual accolades when all is said and done, just because of how good he is defensively. But when you look at who's Momcilovic, I think, is second in the best, I'm looking best portal players basketball. And look, we miss out on these all the time. You look back at the portal rankings from the year before, and a lot of times there's some big misses. AJ Storr was everybody's number one player a couple of years ago, and he had a really bad season for Kansas. John Blackwell, I think, is very good. I don't know if he's first-team All-American good. Man, I'll tell you who I do think out of this group could be. I think Tonda Yesefu could go somewhere next year and be an absolute star, because that's a guy who's, if he stays in the draft, will likely be a back end of the first-round type pick. We saw him firsthand in that game that we played against Baylor in Fort Worth. He is a massive talent and dropped 37 on BYU back in February. I think he could go somewhere and have a breakout sophomore campaign where he elevates himself from, hey, really good player averaging 18 points per game in a high-level conference to he might be the best player in the country. He's that good. But I also think there's a very good chance that he stays in the draft. I'd say this year's portal class is similar to last year's when all's said and done. I think you've got some very, very – Blackwell's going to be a great player at Duke. Juke Harris is going to be a great player at Tennessee. I still think the P.J. Haggerty stuff is ridiculous. I think people can't get over the fact that he's massively overrated. But I think Badunga will be great for us. I think some of the other guys that we got will be great for us. And I think it's going to be a very good portal class because people know that there's a ton of money to get in the portal. So it's going to keep going on. Ryan Keeling says, Matt being tired today checks out. He's a Tottenham fan plus a Drake hater. Has to be exhausting right now. Those part-time hours with the professional joy police aren't worth it, man. Oh, man.
Look, the Drake hating right now has been the easiest of my entire life. People are doing it online for me.
I was going to say, I keep seeing more of the bad stuff than the good stuff.
Have listened. So I've listened to Iceman. I haven't listened to the other two that people say is like horrible. I haven't listened to those two. Iceman, if you want my true, honest, non-hater opinion, is just like the most mid album I've ever heard. Like, there's a couple songs on there that are pretty good. It's like 2 or 3 songs that I'd listen to again. The rest of it is just, I'm like, what are we talking about here? Like, it's okay at best.
I have listened to the other two, even worse than Iceman. So there's probably like one or two songs out of the 20 songs from both albums that I probably liked. It's a real. You release 43 songs just for me to like 6 of them. It's a pretty bad.
It's not a good ratio.
Here's my only problem with. I'll weigh into this briefly because I am somebody who, I think Drake might be. Like, I don't think we would be friends. I don't know if our personalities would go well together. But I did like when he first came. First of all, I knew him from Degrassi back in the day. My sister loved Degrassi. He was Jimmy who got paralyzed in a school shooting.
In the wheelchair.
To me, and like it took me a while when everybody was talking about this Drake guy in like the late 2008, 2009. I was like, oh my God, it's Aubrey Graham from Degrassi. I liked a lot of his early music. Like he put out very like radio friendly songs that were very catchy. The lyrics were good. Whether or not he wrote them, who knows? But there was a lot of music in like sort of my mid-20s that he put out that I really enjoyed. And we're about the same age. I think he's like 39. I'm 41. So some of the stuff that he's rapping about is some of the stuff that like I'm going through as a 23, 24, 25-year-old. He's still rapping about the same stuff at 40 now, though. Like, you can't be the
BBL Drizzy.
I'm so sad and I'm alone and I'm thinking about girls and why don't the girls want to hang out with me? I'm like, you're 40 now at this point. The music has to change a little bit.
It kills me because he does rap like that. He's trying to like go into his like solemn, like feminine phase. But his music videos have like guns and everything in them. I'm like, dude, you're singing a melody right now about this woman that walked out on you with AKs on the ground. Like, this is not. Who are you trying to pander to?
Get married and have kids and rap about Bluey like the rest of us. Be an adult. Grow up.
BBL Drizzy.
I can't blog about going out and getting hammered at 4th Street Live anymore because I grew up. You got to grow up a little bit, Drake. That's my message to him. He's listening right now.
Got to be like Kendrick.
He's just nodding right now. He's like, you know what? Mike's right. We're going to move on. Yeah. I'm going to start. I'm going to find myself a wife. I'm going to have a kid that I claim. I'm going.
It's never going to happen.
It's probably not.
It ain't going to happen until he's like 85.
Probably, if that. Midwest Reaction says, I didn't double check the math. We don't do math on the show. Yeah. But I saw that Cleveland could have just taken a shot clock violation every possession for the rest of the game, starting at the 7-minute mark, and still won the game. I feel like we've had a couple of those games. I think we did something similar when we blew the big lead against Duke a few years ago, where somebody fact-checked the math and just said if Louisville had just held the ball and done nothing every possession for the last 8 minutes, they would have won by like 7 points. It's a bad feeling when you go through that.
Wasn't it the one with Ding Adele making that terrible play across the baseline?
Thank you, Ian. That was the Virginia game the year before. That was
wrong game.
That was, to me, that one 2 years before. That to me was worse because we gave up 5 points in 0.4 seconds, which should not be humanly possible, and it also cost us the NCAA tournament. And I love my guy David Padgett. Did a good enough job to. I think he should have had that reward of hearing your name called in Selection Sunday, and unfortunately didn't have. That was I think the longest period of extended silence in my house that's ever existed was after that shot went in. And my wife is a talker. She's very much a talker. And when DeAndre Hunter banked that shot in, I think we just sat there in silence. And then I went upstairs to go try to work on the post-game stuff. And I just sat there staring at my computer for 20 minutes. Like, I cannot believe that just happened.
Yeah, after the game, I had this poster on my wall, and after I watched that game, I literally ripped down the poster in tears. And I was crying to my mom, like, Mom, don't ever hang that poster up again in my life.
It's to be young. Midwest producer Keith says, I'm going to take credit for the producer wave regardless of how erroneous that belief is. Well, I like the people when you first got the full-time gig here. A couple weeks ago, people thought that you were producer Keith. They're like, producer Matt and producer Keith are different people.
Like, yes, we are.
They are very different.
One's a lot larger than me.
You have to guess which one is which. A YouTube comment says Josh Hurd should have pressured Dan McDonald into taking the South Carolina job. I don't know how real that one was. I think the Mississippi State one was very real. Yeah, I don't know. Darnock says, sources tell me that Malachi's agent did want him to enter the portal, but since Malachi has been a UK fan his whole life and is therefore an idiot, he refused to enter. That's just dumb. It's just dumb. You even if you have no intention of playing for any other school, putting yourself in the portal at the very least gets you a little bit more money from Kentucky. Money's cool. Money's good. You could get hurt next year and never play basketball again, and you would still have a very solid nest egg to start the rest of your life. And he's costing himself some money. Not that he's not going to be paid handsomely if he goes back and plays at Kentucky next season, but he could have gotten more.
Sal Stewart just homered.
I know. The text. I've got him. It was not just homered. It was several minutes ago.
Sal, 6 minutes ago.
It was 6 minutes ago. Well, that's
several is a stretch.
I would refer to 6 as several.
I would say not? 6 is a few.
You
double digits of several.
6 is probably closer to a few than several. I'll back. I'm willing to change here. Sal, by the way, 4 for 5 today. 2 ribbies, 1 bomb, 3 runs scored. Play him at third base every day. Get Brian Hayes out of my life. Get him out of here. Let this P.J. Higgins guy play more, too. 2 for 2, 2 ribbies.
What's worse, him not being on the team for his bobblehead night or last minute changing it to somebody else?
I don't think they have the. You can't do it at this point. Those boxes are there. Brian Hayes' bobblehead at night is happening on Saturday, regardless of if he's on the team or not. It's happening. I think I want to say we've actually done this before, where we had to have a bobblehead night for a guy that we had traded like 3 weeks earlier. It's embarrassing, but I mean, no, you've got the stock. It's there.
They just show up in like the going out of style rack in the second floor.
Pretty much. That's the way that it works. Oh God, would you rather guys back?
Okay.
I mean, can you give us a normal would you rather?
Well, yesterday he
rather
didn't
guy?
finish his.
What's his would you
Yeah,
rather?
you're right. He didn't even finish the one yesterday. I said I think the second half of my question yesterday was getting muted by YouTube. I sent it multiple times, and it seemed like you all couldn't see it. No, it cut off. But he's got a new one today. Oh, great. Here, I mean, can you give us a normal? Just mix in a normal one that doesn't make the show awkward. Would you rather have permanent poop stains covering your butt all the time and not smell, or smell like you pooped yourself all the time and have zero stains?
Oh, this one's tougher than the first one.
This is actually a good would you rather. I feel like it's okay, but I mean, so
does this mean that no matter what the stains are on the outside of the clothes, like no matter how many layers of clothes I wear?
Well, it says covering your butt. If that's on the inside and people can't see, I feel like I'm going for option one.
I would have
But
to.
imagine the feeling, though. You're going to feel
It'd be bad. Imagine the feeling of knowing that everybody around you knows that you smell like poop all the time. Nobody would want to be your friend. No, you wouldn't be in the studio right now if I smelled like awful poop.
I think I'm taking the stains.
Yeah, I think I take the stains.
I'm taking the stains as long as people can't see them.
Yeah, if it's not noticeable.
But if you're walking around everywhere in life and people can just see mud butt all over your pants, I don't know if I could live like that.
If I'm looking like Greg Heffley from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, I would take a hard no on that. I'd take the second option. But
I just have to wear brown pants every single day of my life for the rest of my life.
I mean, just think of like any time you have a serious conversation with somebody in real life. Like you can't walk in separate directions. You have to be in front of them all the time. Like, 'cause they'll see. Like, imagine you go to a job interview.
You're standing in a checkout line at Kroger. Everybody's talking about how this guy crapped his pants. Everybody.
They're like, I watched him touch multiple of the produce over there.
I can't deal with it. I wouldn't leave the house. I can't handle that. You can't go to a football game where everybody behind you is just looking at your crap stain.
I'd rather that, though, than smell like it all the time.
I mean, even if you doused yourself in cologne.
well, you could wear like an Irish kilt over it, maybe, to cover the stain.
Ian, that's a terrible idea.
It's not a bad idea. It's at least an option.
Keep those ideas in the holster, okay? Okay. But yeah, I know you're new to this. I'm just joking. It's a great idea. It's a genuinely good one. It's a good would you rather. I stand by, if you can't see the stains, I'll take the feeling of poop in my butt all the time. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going with. It's not ideal. I just can't live my life with everybody knowing how bad I smell.
Because I think it's almost worse because, like you said, if you never have sex again, you could probably cover it up if two, if you just smell like it all the time, then everybody else that's wafting, right? That's going through the whole room. Like, at least if it's just on your butt, you can at least direct your back.
It's a serious
away.
conversation. I need you to step it up and focus.
You can at least direct your back towards the wall or the corner or something. You can try and stay out of line of sight.
No,
you can't get out of
not gonna work
line of scent. It's not possible.
You couldn't go to a concert though. You couldn't go to games. You couldn't do anything in public.
Exactly.
Can you imagine getting? I mean, you're not married. You would not be able to have a public wedding.
Like, I'm trying to listen to Drake. Can you stop pooping your pants?
It's bad. It's a terrible feeling. This is why I don't like these would you rathers. But it's still, I respect the hustle. It's a good question. 82 Lance says Shakira is looking for dancers for her FIFA halftime show. Mike, you should submit your video to get casted. I may. We have to fully record our dance before the big event. So if somebody gets everybody competing has to record their dance. I'm doing Dancing with the Stars in Louisville, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what's happening. So everyone has to record their dance in the event that on the day of the event, if someone got really sick or got hurt, they would just show the video of the dance as sort of a fill-in for actually performing. So I could send that video to Shakira, see how impressed she'd be, and say, I mean, it'd be like, if you want to do all the work for the dancing, I can hold you. I've got a sturdy enough base at this
How
point.
truthful are those hips?
They don't lie. They do not lie. We threw in 3 new moves in the dance yesterday, and I'm all thrown. I'm thrown off.
What's the routine looking like?
We're dancing the jive.
Dancing the jive.
It's
okay.
very upbeat. It's very bouncy.
All right.
We have some surprises that I'm not willing to tell the people yet. You got to
That's a secret.
stream
All
the
right.
event or go to the event if you want to see. But I'm feeling okay about it. I'm not good at dancing, but as long as I get the steps down, I feel like I'm gonna bring the energy. I gotta get the facial expressions down. I'm gonna be a big like, oh, I can't believe that just happened face guy for this. Like, oh, like that. That's gonna be my go-to. That's what I've got right now.
I saw that you reposted like Mary's post about you when you were on TV yesterday.
Today.
I just looked at it, and it always makes me laugh every time that I remember that she just calls you Michael regularly.
She does.
Like just
everyone in my family does.
I saw it. I was like, who is she talking about? I was like, oh, she's talking about Mike. It just makes me laugh.
Well,
every time.
what's even weirder is all my close friends call me Ron.
Yes,
it's a nickname that I've had since high school that they still. So people have no idea what my actual name is. I answer to all three names. They sound the same in my head. You say Mike, Michael, or John, or Ron, and I'm actually John Michael. So some people say John. I hear all three names exactly the same, which is weird. I thought it was going to last a week. 24 years later, here I am still being referred to as Ron.
Regis one.
It's high school nicknames can last a long time. It's the way that it goes. We got to go to I think this is the first time we've had a segment where we didn't even make it through the YouTube comments. I promise we'll get to the Gameday Mens Health text line after the break. We'll finish up the YouTube chat as well. Keep it locked right here. The Rutherford Show's back after this here on 1450 The Big X. the level of hater that Matt can be when
Beautiful
pushed.
song.
It's wonderful.
It was either this or Drake Poopy Pants.
Drake, okay. Well, you chose the the higher brow option, which I appreciate.
Like us.
It's the 4 o'clock hour here at the Rutherford Show, 1450 96.1 Big X Sports Radio. Matt Childress is in the house. Give him a follow on Twitter at @mchildress__. We've also got intern Ian in the house today. Gameday Mens Health text lines 502-414-1450. We did have a little bit, I guess, of non-Louisville related breaking news that I'm just now seeing. Aaron Rodgers has announced that he's officially retiring after the 2026 season. Made headlines earlier this week by announcing that he was playing for the Steelers again this upcoming season. But at 42 years of age, Rodgers says this will be his last season of professional football. Matt, are you pouring one out for Aaron Rodgers?
I'm not.
I'm not either.
I don't.
Nobody is.
I agree with Ian. I don't think
Except for Rogers' Realm on IG.
I mean, it would be a great moment for T.J. Walker. We used to have T.J. Walker, former host here, had a huge framed Brett Favre autographed poster, which has mysteriously been removed from the office since T.J. left us. He'd be crying real tears over Aaron Rodgers, who he still thinks is the best quarterback of all time. But
that's a delusional take.
He'll ride off into the sunset, going 9-8 because that's what the Steelers always do, and then lose a first-round playoff game if they make the playoffs. So, a proper goodbye to a great quarterback.
Let's just hope the quarterback class is stacked for next year for when they go for middle of the round.
There it is. YouTube chat, again, we did not get to the end of the YouTube chat. There are a lot of people asking questions about Matt's authority as a rap connoisseur. The Contender says Matt shouldn't be qualified to give rap takes. Terry says Matt is mid. Dude got to listen to Iceman's lyrics more than the beats and the songs. And then LM Cards 92 says, Matt, what's your favorite rap album?
My favorite rap album? Okay, you're actually going to troll me for this. I'm not going to lie. You're going to laugh. My favorite rap album of all time is Yeezus by Kanye.
Okay. I don't
Yeezus.
I don't love that.
I love
Out
Yeezus.
of all the Kanye albums you could pick, you pick Yeezus.
He did something different. Like, he changed his whole sound up.
He certainly did.
And I loved it. Like, it's a personal preference one for me. And look, and for the person
Better
who
than what I thought you were going to say, because when you were like, people are going to troll me for this, I was like, oh, God. What's like? It's going to be like, I don't know, Wiz Khalifa from like 2011.
Look, I am not a lyricism type person. I am a very on the brink of, I just like when the music sounds good. And
he's not big on words,
I'm
guys.
big on beats.
He's not big on words, which is why he's doing sports radio every day.
This is music. It's supposed to sound good. So the people that listen to music and they're like, well, I know the melodies aren't good and the beats is terrible, but the lyrics in there, it's supposed to sound good. That's literally the whole purpose.
Absolutely.
So, like, I get it if you're a lyricist type person, if you're like a Lupe Fiasco, Kendrick Lamar, kind of, I get it. But
I love
like,
Lupe.
I love Lupe, too.
I like Kendrick.
I didn't like him whining, though, the other day on stage. You see that?
I did not see that.
Basically, it was like I would have gotten, my first album would have made me a trillionaire back in the day if we'd had the street, all this. I was like, all right, dude.
And you still made like 50 million.
Yeah,
Let's calm down, man.
Did you see that The Cool finally hit platinum like a couple months ago?
I did not see that. Good
Yes.
for him. Good. I love the very next question. Yeah, this dude doesn't know what he's talking about. this guy. Producer Key says, Mike, you strike me as someone who destroyed many speakers listening to Carter 2, maybe Carter 3. I mean, I still like Lil Wayne, but when that album came out, I mean, I had friends who were like, this is saving rap. And I was like, that's a little much. It was fine.
God.
It was fine. I mean, that was a little bit after my speaker destroying. Speaker destroying time was like high school, early college. And that was more like very obscure Cash Money offshoots and No Limit offshoots back in the day. 3-6 Mafia, big 3-6 guy.
3-6 Mafia is great.
App still is great.
It's great.
Shout out to
Juicy J.
Adventures in Hollywood. The very first, I think Juicy J's album when he went, no, Project Pat's album when he went solo, the very first track, he has this, he's like shouting out every city. And we're all listening to it for the first time. And the very last one, he's like, Louisville. He says the word B after, I can't say it on the radio. But he's like, Louisville. And we're all like, yes, we made it right there at the very end. It was a great moment for the history of Louisville rap back in 2001. LA Lakers says, some players does not want to play for Pope. Well,
Sound like caveman right there.
but point taken. Not incorrect. Producer Key says, not even graduation. Matt. LM Cards 92 says, I thought for sure he was going to say Macklemore.
Macklemore.
Look, that's just disrespect. Just because I'm white,
Wow.
like that's almost borderline racism.
It's like saying Jack Harlow too.
Like,
Love Jack though.
Oh man.
Look, I get Graduation's his best album. My favorite is just Jesus. I like that album.
I like Late Registration. Late Registration's a great album. Like,
It's a good one.
I mean, my Dark and Twisted Fantasy is my favorite Kanye album.
Too.
I mean, I was in college when it was my freshman year when when he first came out, and at Dayton, like I've said before, 50% of the student body is people from Chicago. Like there's a huge path from Chicago to Dayton, so we made a lot of friends with kids from Chicago, and they all were like, "There's this guy coming out, like he's from Chicago," and I was like, "All right, whatever." And then, Through the Wire came out, and I was like, "All right," like I was like, "This is good." And then I was very into the album, and then Late Registration came out, very good as well. Graduation, very good, and I kind of like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy for the same reason that Matt was talking about Yeezus. It was a different feel. He was switching things up. It felt like for the first time since his 3 albums were all a little bit different. We're going way too in depth on this, but I enjoyed My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy the most.
I like when artists experiment.
I do too.
Like I'm a big Childish
Sometimes.
Gambino fan too, because like every one of his albums is
Gambino's
completely
good.
different.
I have had to explain the difference between Childish Gambino, or the similarities between Childish Gambino and Donald Glover to my wife no fewer than 7,000 times. She's like, "Now which one?" I'm like, they're the same person. He uses one name for rap and one name for acting and directing. It's not that hard. I think he's dropped Childish Gambino forever, though. I think he announced that like a year ago.
Yeah, I think he's just
Really?
Donald Glover.
Yeah, he's done now. He's done.
He's done with the Wu-Tang name generator.
That's fine. Game Day Men's Health text line is 502-414-1450. A reminder, Game Day Men's Health, redefining men's wellness with no shortcuts, just results. Testosterone, peptides, weight loss, sexual performance therapy, and more. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com today to find out what they can do for you. I mean, so are the automatic responses, is that just going to be every day from now on? Why don't you get Glenn on this, Matt?
I did. You know,
do something
You know what
about
Glenn
this.
texted me about? You know what he
Okay.
said? He said, you need to get in contact with Text Groove. I said, well, who owns the Text Groove? He said, I don't know. Like, who has the information? I have no idea. So, I don't know what to do. Glenn knows.
We haven't done this in a while.
And not your dad.
We haven't done this in a while, but I want to do the meme again where I'm shaking fist to the sky. Text Groove! Like that's how I feel. Text Groove is out to get me again. Text Groove! Come on! I blame Glenn, though. I choose to blame Glenn. We need to blame somebody. And Scoots isn't doing that stuff anymore. So I feel like I can't blame Scoots as much. He's got his own show now. He's too Hollywood. Boxcar Bob has texted in. He says, good move by Gonzaga. Those games against UK would only hurt their non-con strength of schedule. They don't need those games anymore. They're in the new Pac-12.
That's true, yeah.
Playing legends like Portland State next season. It's going to be a huge
Portland
deal.
State's in the Pac-12?
Texas State, yeah.
Texas State.
The Pac-12 schools are. I actually, as
They
someone,
just took
they're
every
kinda-
state school.
they really did. As someone who covers college basketball for a literal living, I still struggle to remember the schools that are going to be in the new Pac-12. It really should not be that hard. It's Gonzaga is the only non-football member. They took Texas State because they needed an additional football member. They took the Mountain West schools, and then Oregon State and Washington State, who technically never left the Pac-12, are there. But it's Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno, SDSU, and Utah State are the Mountain West schools leaving.
This was a big deal. This was a big reason why, because NDSU is joining the Mountain West this year, correct?
Correct.
And that was like a
that's
big reason
right.
behind that.
Ooh.
Yeah, the new Mountain West, which I feel bad. The Mountain West is such a fun conference to watch late night college basketball games and a competitive football conference as well. And now, they've kind of been decimated. They added NDSU and Northern Illinois from the MAC, and then they brought in UTEP for all sports and UC Davis and Grand Canyon for all sports except football. And I think Grand Canyon actually played in the Mountain West last year. So you've got that going on. Then you've got Air Force, Hawaii, Nevada, New Mexico, San Jose State, UNLV, and Wyoming all back. So, and Hawaii's joining the conference now, I think, or staying with the conference after moving over from the Big West. All sorts of conference realignment stuff happening now and forever. Texter says, this is Scoot Tater. What was more infuriating? The Kenny Payne era? Whenever you guys do these hypotheticals, I can stop you right there. There's nothing that's going to top it.
There's nothing worse than that.
Or watching James Harden getting repeatedly cooked by Jalen Brunson and the Cavs coaching staff, refusing to attempt anything different. What an abysmal ending to a game. It does feel like something that Kenny Payne would have done, back in the day where on the off chance that we were beating somebody by 22 points and, Trey White was getting targeted every single possession. He just wouldn't have taken – it would have probably been like Zan. He just refuses to take Zan Payne out of the game or Danilo Transferovich. He would have kept him in the game while everybody was just going right at him time after time after time. But still, Kenny Payne era more infuriating. I think we can all agree. Ohio guy, always a shining joy on the text line, says, hey, Mark, what do you think of Mick Cronin saying Duke versus Michigan won't happen? It's almost as if one conference has a backbone while the other doesn't. This is in response to the Duke Michigan on Amazon. Remember those 3 games that Duke is supposed to play? I think it's it's Michigan, UConn, and then somebody else. Apparently Mick Cronin. So they're supposed to play, those 2 schools, Duke and Michigan, are supposed to play at Madison Square Garden on Amazon. And Mick Cronin said today to USA Today, no chance it goes through. Not when Fox has paid hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars for the rights. I mean, that's...
First off, why is Mick Cronin talking about this?
Well, because he's in the Big Ten, and so is Michigan.
But they were asking him about Duke, Michigan?
I think they were asking him a question about the potential of this third-party TV streaming services getting involved and taking over some of the biggest non-conference games in the sport. And he's right. Conference affiliations with their TV deals, basically, that only affects whoever the home team is supposed to be. So every home Louisville game has to be on one of the ESPN family of networks because the ESPN and the ACC have this deal. Not like neutral site games, those are up for grabs. If you're playing true road games, then obviously the rights go to the team you're playing's conference affiliation. But this is a situation where Fox technically should have the rights to this game. And Michigan never reportedly received approval from the Big Ten for this deal that they signed to play this game, which I think is December 21st. Gonzaga is the other school, by the way, that Duke is supposed to play on Amazon. The Wolverines are probably going to have to be replaced because the Big Ten has now officially objected to this. I guess that's why Cronin got asked about it. They're claiming they control the media rights to any Duke-Michigan neutral site game in New York because of an alternating arrangement with the ACC for games that are played in shared territories. So basically, if an ACC team plays a Big Ten team on a non-conference site, the ACC and the Big Ten have an agreement that, if an ACC network had the last Duke game versus a Big Ten team, the next time Duke plays a Big Ten squad, the Big Ten, Fox, they get the TV rights for that game on a neutral floor. So that's where this is going for. I mean, I think that Mick's not a dumb guy. He's probably right in that Duke's going to have to find a different opponent to get this because it goes directly against that deal that they had worked out. You read stuff like this and you realize, this is where all of the moving and shaking in college sports is coming from. It's all the TV money. It's all the TV rights. It is insane how much money we're talking about. And that's why you're going to keep missing out on great home and home games. The best non-conference games, by and large, are played on neutral courts, and that's not going to change anytime soon because there's more TV money in it for everybody. I hate it. I mean, we got a little bit more of it last year as far as having on-campus games between some of the best non-conference opponents. We had more in November and December. The non-conference season for college basketball was really good. We need more of it moving forward. Ohio guy also says Chris the Plumber had no interest in listening to the Iceman album until the White House X account just posted about it. Now he knows every single song bar for bar.
Was not the joke I thought he was going to lead into.
The White House account posted the Drake album?
Trump be trumping.
But for what?
Why? What is even the post about?
That's what I'm trying to find out. I'm realizing now that I've blocked the White House account on Twitter. They shouldn't be posting the way that they post. Come on. It just says iced out, and it's the cover art. It is. Except he's holding the hand is holding a chain that has MAGA and all diamonds underneath it. This is where we are. This is what we're doing. Yeah, that's where we are. I guess that was a couple days ago, apparently. Let's see here. Texture says, Dan McDonnell, after the entire structure of the sport changed, this is a timeline, missed the tournament, 12th overall seed, losing Super Regional, good season. Missed the tournament, 32nd ranked team, go on an incredible run to the College World Series, mediocre regular season, great postseason, and then missed the tournament by a mile with the single best player in the sport. You just cannot give this guy a new pricey contract. Thanks for the memories, but it's time for the Hubert Davis of NIL era baseball to leave. I mean, I'm torn between... I think I'm torn on how much we need to take the past into consideration when it comes to evaluating what to do with Dan McDonnell moving forward. Because I think, Matt, you made the point several months ago, maybe it was even last year when you were on at one point. I experienced the whole Denny Crum debate back in the late 90s, early 2000s about, look, this guy took Louisville basketball from a good program to an elite program. He won multiple national titles. He made Louisville the team of the 80s. And it wasn't like we'd fallen off the face of the earth in the late 90s and the early 2000s. We just weren't nearly as good as we used to be. He didn't win an NCAA tournament game after 1997 until he got pushed out in 2001. And there was this big debate about, do you need to recognize the downslide now and nip it in the butt before it goes too much farther south? Or do you say, hey, look, this guy's an active Hall of Fame head coach. He built this program. He deserves to go out whenever the hell he wants to go out. And I, as a younger person who didn't experience the glory of the 1980s, was very much on the, like, let's make a move. Like, get Denny out of here. We're not recruiting well anymore. We're not winning nearly enough games. We've been passed up by some of the other programs in Conference USA. Let's get somebody more exciting in here who can bring back enthusiasm to Louisville basketball. But as I've gotten older, yeah, I mean, I fully recognize, in my eyes, as a, 14-year-old in 2000, it was a lifetime since Louisville had been going to Final Fours and winning national titles. And now as an older person, I look at the 2013 national title, I'm like, it wasn't that long ago. And it's the same amount of distance that there was between 2000 and 1986 back then. So Dan McDonnell, I mean, the big difference in that metaphor is he went to the College World Series literally last year. Didn't win the national title, but he went to the College World Series. But he also has missed the tournament 4 times in 6 years. And the program from 2007 through 2020 was defined by consistency as much as anything else. We never missed the tournament. I think we missed it, once over that span, and that was because they changed the bats, and we hadn't adapted. We adapted the next year, bam, I think we were the number 4 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. But when there are signs that detractors can point to and say, this thing has clearly been going south for a while. I mean, the guy just laid out all the reasons. It wasn't like we had a great regular season last year. We were the number 32 overall seed in the NCAA tournament, but we got hot at the right time and we took advantage of it. Was that a sign of Dan can still get it done? Or was it just sort of a fluky run, which happens from time to time in the NCAA tournament? Murray State made the College World Series last year. I mean, Matt, as a younger person than I am, how much should we take what Dan McDonnell did for this program, which had very little history before he got here, into consideration when it comes to how we proceed at a time where there's, I think, a lot of uncertainty about the future direction of Louisville baseball?
You made a point earlier, and it honestly perfectly sums up me growing up as a Louisville fan, watching Louisville baseball and all their success they had. And that's the fact that my favorite thing about Louisville baseball in general is, I've told it to people who don't watch college baseball a lot, it's so exciting because Louisville almost every season has one of the best offenses in the country.
Yeah.
Like, they have sluggers out there. They have power hitters. The issue is their pitching. It's kind of been a trend, like you said, since like 2010, 2011. It's been a problem for quite a while now. So the issue is, like, yeah, Louisville will put up 14 runs, but they're going to give up 11. That's why these games are so exciting. I mean, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago? They played in the regional here in Louisville against Michigan. That game ended like 22-20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Great game of baseball if you're a neutral fan. A heart attack, complete to watch that game if you're a Louisville fan. So, to me, I don't think we stray away from Dan McDonnell because we saw last year, we've seen the past couple of years with these mediocre teams that the offense is still there, bar none most of the time. you're still getting these great players in. You're still getting seasons like Tage Davis, like Brendan McKay. You're still getting all these like Zion Rose, Lucas Moore. You're getting all these guys in, and the offense is still there. The issue consistently has been the pitching staff. It's been the bullpen. It's been the defense and slowing down the other team to really get you over the hump of being one of those elite college baseball programs again like you used to be. So I'm not fully out on let's get this guy out of here just yet. I think he gets one more run, maybe 2-year contract, something like that. Give him a chance, but the deal is, Dan, we give you one more shot. Rogers got to go. You got to make a change. You have to show us that.
That's where I am at this point.
You have to show us that, look, you're the guy on this end, but you can also still build a staff that's national championship contender. That's what I have to do. You get one more shot at it.
I mean, the crazy thing is, and you're right, that's been the DNA of this program since that 2020 season got cut short. But it wasn't always. I mean, it was. We've always had an exciting offense. We've always been aggressive at the plate, aggressive on the base pass ever since Dan got here. But we also had several years where pitching and defense defined the team as much as anything else. I mean, you think back to, Brendan McKay was seen as more of a pitcher than a hitter when he was here, and was maybe the best pitcher in the country. We had the Birdie brothers who were out there, hitting 100 and were high level.
Gosh,
draft
Zach
picks.
Birdie was so fun to watch.
Yeah, Cade McClure, Kyle Funkhauser, like all those guys. I meant, Zach Pitts back in the day. Justin Amlung was a conference pitcher of the year. We had, and then Bobby Miller and Reed Detmers on that 2020 team, who are both now seasoned vets in Major League Baseball. Chad Green, pitched for the Yankees forever. Was an all-star for the Yankees. Like we've had great arms come through this program. We've had none of those over the last 5. I mean, who's the best pitcher of the last 5 years that we've had? Forbes?
But he was a transfer,
And he was here for 1 year.
and we benched him during the biggest game of the season.
We did. I mean, we just we have any success that we've had since 2021 has almost come in spite of poor pitching. And that's not sustainable. If we want to have any sort of shot, and I get the disadvantage that baseball is in compared to men's basketball and football, because the SEC, they've always invested heavily in baseball. They've got more money than God. They can continue to do so. And then you've got some programs out on the West Coast and even some in Florida that baseball is sort of their spotlight sport. They're going to, like Long Beach State, Cal State Fullerton, UC Irvine, those programs, they're going to devote more resources to baseball than they are to just about anything else. It's going to be tough for Louisville to compete in this new era if we want to at least have a shot. And I think this is a underrated baseball city. You clearly can't do what you've been doing. And it's not like we've had a shortage of money. We have invested in baseball the last few years. We've had competitive rosters. They've been blown to hell by terrible pitching. So the thing that stands out for me with this year's team, because if you want to say it's more about we just got the wrong guys out of the portal or bad recruiting, what can Roger Williams do with a bunch of guys that can't find the strike zone? We had multiple people who were worse on the mound this year than they were a year ago. I mean, we had some guys last season that played a huge part in us making the College World Series who then were not nearly as reliable this season. What else do you point to besides coaching? I'm thinking about how good Jake Schweitzer was down the stretch last season. And look, he's a fellow Trinity baseball alum. I love those guys. He comes out this year. You're expecting him to take another step forward. He's got a damn near 7.0 ERA. Ethan Eberle is your Friday night starter, who was great for us down the stretch as a freshman last year. He was bad. He was unreliable as a starting pitcher this season. Ty Stark started off the season well, still has an ERA that's pushing 5 by the end of the season. That was a guy that you expected to take a step forward. Jake Bean was the MAC pitcher of the year last season? 10.29 ERA. TJ Sloggiter, 11.05 ERA. Peter Michael, who I think has all the ability in the world, 13.5 ERA. That's the same ERA that Tage Davis has pitching. All those guys besides Bean weren't just members of last year's team, but players who had a big part in the postseason run that we went on. So, yeah, you just expect guys that are returning to your program, especially the younger ones, to take steps forward. They all took steps back. What do you blame if you don't blame the coaching there, right? yeah, the kids have to take some of the responsibility, but it's kind of on the coaches to get them to that point. And I think that's why you have to do something with Roger Williams when all's said and done.
Patrick Ryan also texted and said Petra Forbes was not a transfer. He was here for 3 years. Is that true?
For some reason, I thought he was a transfer.
I thought he was too. Who am I thinking of then?
It's tough to keep track of these days. Patrick's got the reliability of being able to search it while we're talking. D-bag. I love you, Patty. Texter says, is this the best golf team we've ever had? Not sure we've made it out of regionals before. We have, but it's been a while. I think we've played, I know the women's team's had a little bit more success than the men's recently, but I think we've played in like the actual NCAA tournament a few times over the last 20 years or so. But we hired Ryan Blagg out of Baylor, who was really well respected a few years ago, and he's done a great job. Are we a golf school now? And we just had Maddie Schmidt, top 5 at the PGA Championship. We've had a handful of other PGA players over the years. It's Adam Hadwin. Maybe we're a golf school. Maybe that's where we're going next. But congrats. I think we're leading the ACC tournament, last I saw. Hopefully they can wrap that up, get ourselves a conference championship this year, because I don't think we have one in any other sport. It's time to make that happen. Let's take a break. When we come back, it's hour number 3. I've got one thing to talk about that we didn't have a chance to touch on in the first hour. We have a lot of texts to get to. There's some Yeezus for you. Take a break. Back after this. Rutherford Show. Big X.
I just need
Every time. He said cocaine there, guys. All that cocaine on the table. You can't snort that. Producer Keith, by the way, sent me the video of like these moms talking about if you want or whatever that song is that Trevor always says about drugs. He was like, "Is this song about drugs?" I was like, "It's about drugs." Every song from the '90s and late '80s that you thought you loved is secretly about drugs.
I remember. So my dad grew up skateboarding a lot, and
Did he really?
Yeah.
Do we have another cool dad situation on our hands here?
My dad did every extreme sport you could think of. He raced motorbikes, did all this stuff.
Another cool dad. Roman's dad was cool dad. I think Matt's dad may have to be like new cool dad.
He could be cool dad.
Okay.
But he was a big skateboarder growing up. And it was because he lived out in California. And I remember we talked about Lupe Fiasco earlier.
Uh-huh.
Well, he has Kick Push, one of his like more famous songs. My dad, for his whole life, thought that song was just about skateboarding. You should have seen the look on his face when I told him what it was actually about.
It's about drugs. It's about drugs. Kiss from a Rose. Yeah.
I remember I just got in his car. I was like 13. I got in his car. I was like, "Dad, what you know about this song?" He was like, "You know I used to skateboard when I was a kid." I was like, "Dad, that's not what this is about."
Any song that has, not that this song does, but any song that has any sort of reference to something being white or angelic or snow, it's cocaine. Just letting you know. That's how music works. And then a also alarmingly high number of songs in the 80s that are upbeat rock songs are about a desire to have sex with somebody underage. That's also, it's very, very creepy. That's what weird times in the 1980s. Maybe fueled by cocaine and its availability. Who knows?
I will never forget the Kid Rock video that kept resurfacing whenever they did the whole Kid Rock halftime thing where he was talking about the underage girl and
From the one from Osmosis Jones.
What?
Have you ever seen?
you talking about the movie Osmosis Jones?
Yeah, the movie Osmosis Jones. There was a Kid Rock was
The show has gotten too young for my liking now. We've got to keep it somewhat young.
Wait,
Now,
we've never seen Osmosis Jones, Mike?
I've heard of Osmosis Jones.
Bill Murray's in it. You haven't
not-
seen that movie?
That's not
I've got no desire to see
That was from
Osmosis
like mid
Jones.
2000s.
That movie's great.
Osmosis Jones is great, but I'm pretty sure Kid Rock had a song in there that was talking about underage too.
He did. There's he's like his version of a blood cell or whatever's in that.
I don't like that.
He said something like about statutory, but it's mandatory.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
that's
I
not
do
good.
think you're right. That is a great pull.
That's problematic.
I saw it all the time on like my Instagram or Twitter when I was seeing the halftime show, and that was pretty bad. I'm like, geez, I
gotta
don't think I
find
can ever
this
listen
now.
to Kid Rock again.
I've got to. Okay, I'm gonna need you guys to stop talking because I got to take a hard left turn here. I don't think our sponsors are gonna be happy if they get lumped in with this. But if you have been hurt in an accident or on the job, the Call Your Law Firm's got your back, not your wallet. Give them a call today, 502-736-8141. Other attorneys, other firms, they're going to make you sign a piece of paper that's going to put 40, 45, 50% of your recovery money back in their pockets. At the Call Your Law Firm, their attorney fees start at just 25%. Visit their website, callyourlawfirm.com, COLYER lawfirm.com, or that phone number again, 502-736-8141. Hurt in an accident or hurt on the job, call your law firm. We'll get back to the text line here momentarily. I did want to talk about something that I thought was interesting that came out this morning. So, Louisville football released a trailer for the all-access show that they did for the ACC network, which I guess showed in full at noon today. I didn't get a chance to see the entire show, but it's well-produced. It's interesting. Katie George is the narrator. She hosts the entire thing. And the 2-minute trailer, it centers around one thing, which is Louisville football taking the next step, but they don't leave it at this vague, all-encompassing next step type language. They say explicitly multiple times throughout the video, Louisville trying to get to the college football playoff for the first time is what they say. The entire video is basically, here's this program. They've been on the precipice now for a while. Jeff Brahms won 9 games or more in all 3 of his first years at U of L. They're now trying to get from pretty good to into the college football playoff. This is a team that I don't think many people are going to have them in their preseason CFP projections. You're not going to have many people ranking this team inside their preseason top 20s. Maybe you have a few here and there, but more times than not, if Louisville is ranked, it's going to be that 20 to 25 range. I feel like I'm ready to take the leap, though. I feel like I'm ready to take the leap and say, I don't want to use the vernacular of CFP or bust. But I do want to say, like, I think we're getting to a point where with this roster, this schedule, and with the own expectations that U of L is putting out there, I'm going to be disappointed if they don't make the playoff. And I've never taken that mindset. I think they can still have a good season without making the playoff. For instance, let's say all the teams we were supposed to play in the ACC, they have bad years. We end up getting the easiest ACC schedule, but we lose to Ole Miss. We lose a game that we're not supposed to in the ACC season. And the way that the tiebreakers all work out, we don't get to play in the ACC championship game. So we go 10-2. We pound Kentucky into oblivion again. But our overall strength, we don't have the quality wins necessary to get in that large bid into the CFP. If you go 10-2 and you finish the season ranked like 14th in the country, I'm not going to say that that's a bad season, but I am willing to say it's a disappointment based on the preseason expectations. Are you, Matt, are you willing to get yourself into the mindset of this needs to be the year that Jeff Brom makes the playoff, or is that a bridge too far?
No, I think it's right where it needs to be. I think that's not a bridge too far at all. You spent heavily this year. You got Josh Hurd. You got the extension. You got the money you've been asking for. The whole thing with Jeff Brom, he has the clunkers. He loses games he probably shouldn't, but he wins the big ones. That's his big thing. Is Jeff Brom's going to get you a big one every single year. But his argument is like, I've had bottom of the ACC spending. I've been a bottom of the ACC, salaried head coach, maybe middle of the table head coach. Now you've been bought in. The university has now said, all right, Jeff Brom, we hear you. Here's your resources. This is what you've been asking for. You're not on par with the Ohio State or the Michigans, but this is what you've asked for. We've given it to you. I'm ready to get excited. I'm ready for to be bought in again. I was playoff or bust last season. If I was playoff or bust with Miller Moss at quarterback, I'm playoff or bust with Lincoln Keenel as a quarterback. I'm ready to go.
I according to them, the information that was relayed to me last season was, people don't know this, but Jeff is the 11th highest paid coach in the ACC, and we have the 13th most NIL money. That's from the folks at U of L. Obviously now Jeff, I believe, is the 5th highest paid coach in the ACC or 4th. He's top 5 in the ACC. They made that right, and I think that we're very clearly in the top half of NIL spending, which is ninth or above. I think we're probably closer to like 6th, 7th, probably in NIL spending. They gave Jeff and everybody else associated with the football program that has been airing their grievances for the last couple of years, they gave them more or less what they wanted, what they said they needed to compete at the highest level of the conference. You got Isaac Brown back, who is, when he's healthy and fully locked in, a kind of I think he's the most talented, naturally gifted running back we've ever had. You got an offensive line that should be able to compete. You brought back Kewan Brown as well to give you stability at the running back position. You also brought in Marquise Davis. You went heavy in at the tight end position. You brought back arguably your best defensive player from last year in Clev Lubin. You also got linebackers in Sanquan Clark and Antonio Watts that were being heavily pursued by other programs. And then you brought in one of the best defensive players in the transfer portal in Tyler Thompson. You spent at a level that says, at the very least, you need to be flirting with the college football playoff deep into the season. The fact that they're not running from those expectations and they seem to be going into these key moments of the offseason, these key months of the offseason, almost embracing them, that kind of pushes me to a point where I'm like, all right, if you guys are saying it's time to do it, it's time to do it. Let's get rid of the Brom clunker. If we lose to Ole Miss, let's beat the hell out of who we're supposed to beat the hell out of in the ACC and win a conference championship and get into the playoff that way. And if we beat Ole Miss, let's start taking care of business and not losing games where we're 9.5-point favorites. And as long as we do that, maybe you got one loss in a road game, say, at Georgia Tech, where maybe they'll be a slight favorite or we'll be a 1 or 2 point favorite. You can take a loss there and still feel like you're in pretty good shape to be a CFP team. But however it happens, let's make it happen. I think that everybody's kind of waiting. And this would be a hell of a message for Jeff Brom to send to Josh Hurd to say, you hit the bare minimum of what I was asking. look what I did. Imagine what we could be if we even up this. If we can get the same type of buy-in that, say, I don't know, Indiana's getting, maybe we can produce Indiana caliber results. Give me an opportunity to show that I'm capable of doing that. Because what he can't do is go out there when he finally feels, I mean, I'll tell you firsthand, they feel like this is the best roster they've had since Jeff's been here. And we've had success the last 3 years. We've won 10, 9 games. If they go out there and they go 8-4 in the regular season again, or God forbid 7-5 or worse, all of a sudden you have a lot of people who are like, why are we even giving football this level of money? We've always been kind of okay at football. Why are they taking money away from, I don't know, a men's basketball program where we've had historically more success and are trying desperately to get back to the top of the national stage? Why are we keeping funds from basketball in order to reward a coach who very clearly just can't do it? We've talked a lot on the show about the pressure that's on Pat Kelsey because of the level of spending that's happening right now with the men's basketball program. There's, I don't know if it's equal or if it's just slightly less, but there's a ton of pressure on Jeff Brom in a different way. We know that Jeff Brom can win the big game. That's what we don't know about Pat Kelsey. What we don't know about Jeff Brom is if he can win the okay game, if he can win the moderate game and get us to a point where we're playing in even bigger games down the line. He hasn't proven that at this point yet. That's kind of what this season is about. I'm done with talking about the Brom clunker. I'm done with talking about blowing big leads against Virginia or losing games where you outgain an average opponent by 300 yards but invent ways to lose. It's time to clean all of that ish up. Whether or not you beat Ole Miss, I want to take care of business in the games that we're supposed to take care of this season and then let the chips fall where they may from that point forward. That has to be priority one this year. But I do think at the very least, whether it's making the playoff or not, there has to be a step forward taken this season. I mean, for all the success we've had, we haven't finished the top 25 the last couple of years. We've barely missed the top 25 both of the last 2 seasons, and that cost us financially because we get a bonus when we finish in the top 25 of the final CFP rankings. We need to be better. We've historically, over the last 20 years, I think consistently been in a position where we've been a top 25 caliber program. We need to start getting at the very least top 20, top 15 caliber results if we are going to invest like a top 20, top 15 type program.
I think what's extremely frustrating about this, not just the clunkers in general, is that if you came one this year, you beat Miami on their home field, national runner up. The year before, you go to Notre Dame, probably should have won that game if you don't, play your worst game of the season, and then you would have beaten back-to-back years the national runner-up. So, you have Jeff Brom, this guy who's shown that, if you ask the question, okay, if Louisville gets to the playoff, can they win any games? Yes. This dude is beating the teams that are winning games in the college football playoff. It's can he stop from losing the games to keep him out of it. So,
and by the way, also that year, one at Clemson who made the CFP.
Yes, did beat Clemson. I forgot about that. I didn't even count that one. It's like you sit here and think as a little thing every year what could be under Jeff Brom. Like if he can get, like you said, if he can get over that precipice, if he can get over the hump, it almost gives you the feeling that the floodgates will open. Like he figures it out one time, and then Louisville's a national powerhouse in football for years to come. And it's one of those where if you get it once, maybe it can continue to happen.
Well, yeah, I think there are parallels between where the football and the men's basketball programs are right now, where it's this sort of state of good, but we are hoping it can be more. I think people are excited that Pat Kelsey has returned men's basketball to a state of normalcy, but that's, normal is a relative term. Our normal is not the same as most power conference men's basketball programs' normal is. Our normal is competing for trips to Final Four, competing for national titles, and expecting to be in that position on almost a yearly basis. And now, when it feels like we have even more of an advantage over the rest of the field because of our spending level, you want to be back in those types of games very soon. And the big question with Pat Kelsey, I think we all know he's a good coach. Can he be a great coach? Can he be a national championship caliber coach? You got to show us signs of that. I mean, I think if he takes this roster this year and takes Louisville to an Elite Eight or a Final Four, we'll have the same type of reaction that you just talked about with football, where people will – it won't just be about that season. It'll be about what could happen down the line. The doors are open now to bigger and better things. We can win multiple national titles. We can get, we could be the best program of the next decade. With football, I think the hope was always that Jeff could bring about a level of consistent success that we just haven't seen here before. We've had flashes in the pan with Howard Schnellenberger, with Bobby Petrino, with Charlie Strong. Those have typically lasted 3 or 4 years, and then we just go right back to kind of irrelevance. Can Jeff Brom be the coach who has Louisville? Nobody expects Louisville to become Ohio State or Alabama or anything, but can you be consistently in the playoff mix? Can your down years be 8-4 seasons where you're a fringe top 25 team instead of 2-10 or 3-9 seasons where everything's falling apart? I think we know how high the floor is with Jeff Brom here. I think we all want to know how high the ceiling can be. And this year is a big opportunity for him to say the ceiling can be going to the playoff and maybe even being a team that can play deep into the playoff. If you don't give us a sign of that this year, I think people start to lose hope that it's ever going to happen, and unless the playoff expands to like 46 teams or whatever. So there's pressure on both coaches this year. We need to see it because we're spending a lot of money that I'm not sure we have, and if you don't have the results to back that up, it becomes more and more difficult to justify the way that we're going about things as an athletic program in this brave new world. We have a lot of text to get to at 502-414-1450. So we'll make a little bit of a quick switch over to the text line to wrap up this 4 o'clock hour. Text, this is Ball Knower. What is LSU going to do when 70% of these players they're adding for basketball get ruled ineligible? This has to be the biggest recruiting gamble I've ever seen. Again, I wrote about this yesterday at SBNation.com. Will Wade operating under normal circumstances is already sort of an envelope pusher. He's desperate now. They brought back nobody from Matt McMahon's last team. They signed nobody from the 2026 recruiting class. They swung and missed on a handful of portal players. The 4-player portal class they have right now is only ranked 40th best in the country. So his only option out there to try and field a competitive team is to go out there and sign like 50 28-year-olds who are pro basketball players and hope that at least a handful of them get ruled eligible. Like, he is basically saying, the old defensive basketball philosophy where it's just keep fouling them, make them call every foul. He basically is like, make them declare my whole team ineligible. Like at some point, they're going to get tired of saying that this guy's ineligible, and we're going to get at least a couple of these guys who can suit up. If he doesn't, he's going to have like a 4-player team.
Did you see what Jeff Goodman said about him? Was it today or was it yesterday?
Yesterday. He's like, I like Will, but I wish he hadn't come back.
He's like ruining the game.
He's bad for the sport. I mean, we've always known who Will Wade is.
But you can't start the sentence off with, I like Will Wade, but he's terrible for the sport. He's got to go. Get him out. Like,
oh, it's my favorite
might as
way.
well just say it.
It's my favorite way to insult somebody. When you say, like, I really like this guy. And it never just continues from there where they talk about what you like. It's always like, but he's the biggest, dumbest loser in the entire world. So, yeah, Jeff Goodman played that card a little bit. The Will Wade stuff. I mean, they now have, because they signed Bryce Dessert today, who's 23 years old from the EuroLeague. They signed the kid from Italy yesterday that I told you they were going to get. They've got the 25-year-old Israeli, Yamadar. They got Marcio Santos, who was the kid that Mark Pope flew to Israel to get and then didn't get. R.J. Lewis is not going to be eligible. He's not. The Europeans and the other players that are professionals that are in their mid-20s, you got a stronger case, but you're still going to have to buck some precedents here. They now have 3 players signed who are former NBA draft picks. That's like, I'm sorry. I know. I also said this yesterday. I know lines are blurry now, and it's very, very difficult to discern when they're being crossed. But I do think it's like pornography, where it's you're like, I know it when I see it. That's line crossing. We can't have guys that were drafted the same year Anthony Edwards was drafted and who have played professionally for the 5 years since coming back and playing their first year of college basketball. Should not happen. This is not what it's supposed to be about. Although I don't really know what it is supposed to be about anymore. Texter says, I am canceling my season tickets if Roger Williams is still the pitching coach next season. It's a total waste of my time to watch 4.5-hour games where it takes us well over 200 pitches to get 27 outs. The pitching has been underwhelming in recent seasons, but this year's staff was a whole new level of terrible. Jake Bean was a huge miss, Schweitzer and Michael had massive regressions. Daniel Levitch was clearly unprepared to throw that many innings. Hartman was as streaky as ever. Eberle flirted with being taken out of the weekend rotation. The only pitchers that really progressed were Ty Stark, Jack Brown, and maybe Aaron England, but they all had their fair share of struggles as well. I could go on forever, but the pitching just needed to be average for us to be a really good team this year, and we had way too many guys that couldn't even lob over a 3-0 strike. I know it's college baseball and pitching won't always be great, but it can't be totally non-competitive. I think that's a pretty accurate summary. By the way, I had the game on last night. I said this. There's a mercy rule, and I think it's after the fifth inning. If you're up by 10, the game ends. And this I don't know who the announcer was last night, but I'm watching this at 1 a.m. And this guy, he's unable to hide the joy in his voice when Louisville's down by 10 in the 8th inning and they've got 2 outs. He's like, could be the last at bat, and Zion Rose bloops a single into right field. This guy sounds like his dog just got murdered in front of him. He's like, 2 runs are going to score here. The Cards are going to stay alive. Like, he was just like, for the love of God, get me home. I've got to do this again tomorrow. They're not going to win this game. These innings are taking 45 minutes to play. He just sounded completely defeated. I've never heard anything like it. I was like, this guy cannot hide at all how pissed off he is that this game is continuing.
I did exactly last night what I told you I was going to do on the show yesterday. I watched all of the Cavs-Knicks game, and then after I went down and laid in bed, after brushing my teeth and everything, I was like, okay, let's go check on it. I have not seen the score at all, have no idea what happened in this game. I tried not to look at it. It was like 16-8, and I was like, oh, turn it off.
That was the final.
Watch the final episode of Mall Shadow Lord. Fantastic finale, by the way.
You've already finished Mall Shadow?
There's only 10 episodes.
Only 10 episodes. This is where you and I just like, it takes me 3 months to watch 10 episodes of TV now.
Finale was fantastic.
Okay. Take your word for it. Crystal Plummer's texted in. He said, I didn't know that getting an ingrown toenail removed was a thing. I always just remove my own. He's calling you a pansy.
He is. He's calling me a pansy.
He's calling you out a little bit. Anyways, Floyd's coming. I've not been this excited about our basketball team since the Patino years. Lastly, there was a show about our football team on at noon on the ACC network. Luckily, Maven mentioned it, so I recorded it to watch later. Go Cards. We talked about it, too. I do love all the UK fan responses to the whole, because I tweeted, it was basically what I just said, where everyone associated with the program seems to be leaning into this is the year to make the playoff mindset. I like it. These guys are like, you won't even win the ACC. I'm like, well, if we do win the ACC, we're going to the playoffs. So don't act like it's not a given. You do this every year, and you'll be 4-4 in conference end of season. You can't talk like this when we've beaten you 88-14 or whatever it is over the last 2 years. Stop with this. Texter says, hey, Mike and Matt, if you were an NBA GM and you had the first 5 picks in this year's strong draft, would you trade them all for Wemby?
Yes.
I was going to let you answer first. Yes. Ian, you're shaking your head. You're saying no?
There's no question. I'll take Wemby.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I thought you were saying that you would.
I thought you were saying you would take the draft.
No, absolutely no question about that. I would definitely take Wemby.
There's not a single person in the top 5 that will end up being like Wembanyama.
I'm trying to think of a potential deal where I wouldn't take Wemby at this point. And it would have to be, overwhelming. Because you get that guy, he's the future of the entire sport. There's no longer any doubt about it. I think he proved that beyond the shadow of a doubt on Monday night. Yeah, as good as this draft class is, if those dudes all, like, if DeBonsa, Peterson, Boozer, Caleb Wilson, and whoever you want to take at 5, which, by the way, Kingston Fleming's apparently is dropping a little bit. There's some Michael hype coming. If all those guys end up being all-star caliber players, I'm still not sure that they would be a better fit than Wemby and whoever you surround him with 5 years from now. Like, he's that good. He's that much of a freak, and he's that much of a problem for everybody else to deal with. I think the answer is easy. You guys seem to agree. Texas, I thought McDonald had a rolling contract extension that extends year to year rather than a hardline contract that ends like a free agent. I could be wrong, but I've seen people say that online, but it could be incorrect. Is the contract that cut and dry like a traditional contract, or does it simply kick into effect year to year? I've been told that it's out after this year. Maybe I was led astray with that information. I'd have to check. I can't tell you. I'm not going to say beyond the shadow of a doubt because I'm not 100% certain. Texture says, are we sure? No. Texture says, Mike, why did we find out about the inside look on Louisville football 20 minutes before it aired on TV, marketing malpractice. I had the same question about, like, I didn't know this was happening, and then I saw the video.
I hadn't even seen the video until you just said it.
No, I mean, I didn't see the video until after the show had aired. So I saw the trailer when I got back from I had to go do the Wave 3 show at 12:30. So I did not know this was happening until the show had already aired. Yeah, you need to gotta be hyping this thing up a little bit. I mean, I get that we're in sort of a state of flux behind the scenes with the transition, with Rocco being out and other people, pulling triple and quadruple duty with sports. But yeah, I would have liked to have known that this was going to be on, so I could have set the DVR. I assume it'll be replayed at some point, but yeah, it would have been fun to watch tonight. Let's take our last break. When we come back, we'll run through the text line. We'll make some predictions for the night ahead in sports. Let's go Avs. And then we'll call it a day. It's the Mike Rutherford Show, presented by United Mechanical and Nexus Plus, 1450 96.1, Big X Sports Radio.
Y'all ain't know. Rebel to the world with no
5 o'clock hour here, Rutherford Show, 1450 96.1. Big X Sports Radio, producer Matt Childress, intern Ian in the house. Ian, do you have a last name?
Blanford. Ian Blanford, yes.
There you go. It just sounds better when you let it roll off the tongue.
And I have a Twitter page also as well. That's Ian Blanford 85. If you want to take a look at that.
Shameless self-promotion. You're going to do well here. Well done.
Sounds
Ian
great.
Blanford 85. Happy to be here. Last segment of the day coming up. You had about 20 minutes or so to have your thoughts heard on the radio if you want to text in at 502-414-1450. We've talked about the Donovan Mitchell and Cleveland Cavaliers collapse, more like the James Harden and Cleveland Cavaliers collapse from last night. Football expectations that U of L seems to be embracing. Floyd Badunga officially locked in as a Card, and the difficult offseason that is facing Louisville baseball now, which is unfortunately kind of hoping that it wasn't going to happen, but now the reality is upon us. The season is over. Louisville baseball has some interesting obstacles to face head on as they get ready for 2027 and the future of the program. 502-414-1450. We have a lot of text to get to. Not a lot of time to get there. Let's go as quickly as we can. Texas Jake Schweitzer got worse in year 2. Dan can make life a lot easier if he replaced Roger Williams. If we had to fire Dan, I could see a lot of U of L players in the majors stop donating to our program. It also would feel, I know a lot of people are looking at what we've done the last 6 seasons and saying, well, last year's run was a little bit of a fluke. I don't think you can just gloss over a trip to the College World Series. I do think,
especially when you made the Final Four.
Yeah.
You won a series in the College World Series.
Great point as well. It's not like they just went there, they got exposed for being frauds, and were 2 and done. They won multiple games. They played deep into the second. They played into the second week. It was a successful run in Omaha, comparatively speaking. You can't just throw that out the window. It is one data point. It's a large data point that I think has to be taken into consideration when you're evaluating Dan McDonnell and where we want to go from here. But it also doesn't completely overwhelm the downside of those 4 seasons where you've missed the NCAA tournament and some of the troubling trends that we now are. I mean, like the data points are large enough now that I feel like you can say this is becoming a troubling trend. If you missed the NCAA tournament a couple times in 3 years, yeah, it's abnormal for the program under McDonnell, but it could be just a blip. It could be a struggle to adapt to this brave new world. When it's 4 times in 6 years, that evidence is maybe not overwhelming, but it's large enough that you feel like there are some certain issues that have to be addressed. And I think that's where we are right now. Texter says, Danhausen cursed the Cavs yesterday. So okay, you guys are going to, all I know about that guy is he wears weird face paint.
You don't know about the curse what Danhausen does?
What is he?
I actually don't even know what this is.
First of all, who is he? Is he like a musician?
No, he's a WWE wrestler.
Oh, okay.
So what he does is he does this little thing where he curses a wrestler usually, and whatever happens to that wrestler, they'll lose their match or to lose their title.
Okay.
And he's done it before, the Dominic Mysterio losing his IC title. But what he usually does is it's a strange thing, but I'm gonna do is you are cursed, and he does this thing, literally does the exact same thing, and he cursed the Cavs to lose that game.
Okay.
For the Knicks, winning streak. That sounds wonderful. I do have a special mission I've been sent on.
Oh, you put it on right now.
I don't like this
For the
voice.
Cleveland Cavaliers tonight.
He does a
Let
voice
them know
every single match,
that they
every single thing.
Why is this guy on ESPN though? Oh, there it is. They are cursed. I mean,
This doesn't look
literally
like a
works
wrestler,
every
by
time.
the way. This looks like me in a costume. He is tiny.
I keep seeing him
He's
everywhere.
one of those
I
funny
didn't
wrestlers they do.
Okay.
Like Santino Morella. He's one of those wrestlers.
See, my wrestling knowledge is limited. Ever since we lost Trevor Kelsey as the producer of the show, I know nothing about wrestling anymore.
I got deep knowledge, so I can actually get a replacement for that.
You would talk about? Well, I don't know if I want that, but okay. We'll figure
But
it out.
he's a comedy wrestler. You see, his whole point to be in WWE is not to be a good wrestler. It's just to make people laugh and be funny.
He's
It's
making
entertaining.
demands now. He's responded to it.
Oh, what's he saying?
Danhausen told you the curse was real. We did it. Danhausen has cursed the Cavaliers. The Knicks have won. And Danhausen has won. And now he is owed hot side seats in between Timothy Chalamet and Kylie Jenner. Yes, that's right. And then the curse will continue.
I didn't ask for that audio, by the way. I mean,
I mean, I typed in Dan Hauser. That's the first thing that popped up, so I could not play it.
I have seen this guy pop up every now and then. I just didn't know what he did. It's one of those where, you reach a certain age and you're you see something it's Danhausen curses the cat. It's a picture. I'm like, I don't have time to learn what this is or who this is or what this is
You
about.
gotta spend the 15 minutes on the internet to learn.
Am I intrigued? Yes. Is it worth going down that rabbit? Like every now and then I can see, I know myself well enough to see an hour and 15 minutes from now where I'm going to be if I click this one button. I don't have the time for this. I'm scrolling on. I'm scrolling past it. Someone will explain it to me, and that's exactly what's just happening.
Yeah, Danhausen, his curses seem to be very effective. Like I don't think he's ever had a curse that didn't go.
There it is.
And he's done it in sports and multiple other medias.
The Riddler has texted in now. Riddler says Roger has to go. Watch the Dan post-game interview. He knows the dude was pissed. Also, follow up from yesterday. I don't understand the Jordan versus LeBron GOAT argument. First of all, we will never have that argument on this show. We never had it yesterday. I don't even know what you're talking about. Big baby Bron, not even the best player in his era. KD is. Kobe has a more legitimate argument for GOAT than Bron. I think Wemby has a legitimate shot to contend here. I guess that's what we were talking about, Wemby's potential to be in that conversation at some point. Lastly, that Big 12 AD who is saying let the SEC walk is who I want. That's an AD with vision. Josh, step it up. Where's the Banner lawsuit? I like that you didn't have Riddler wouldn't look up his name, but he wants him now. That's my guy.
This was also very tame from the Riddler. He really has turned to
He's trying to walk it back a little bit. The weird thing, though, is he's emboldened the rest of the Riddler supporters who now, when they see the Riddler walking stuff back, they're getting even more brazen on the text line.
They're like, he's so brave.
He's created a bunch of baby Riddlers that are out there just spreading havoc across the show. Texas says, shouldn't the NCAA rule Soares be retroactively ineligible and take away all of Satterfield's wins from last season? Well, they don't do this anymore. They don't. The punishments that they gave us, they just do not hand out anymore. They have. I mean, we were talking yesterday about the LSU situation, and I brought up the parallels between R.J. Lewis and the Bediako kid from Alabama. The NCAA declared Charles Bediako ineligible. Alabama then went and got a temporary restraining order from the courts and played him 5 games until that restraining order expired and he didn't get a waiver. Like they openly defied the NCAA. It's the same thing that Memphis did with James Wiseman like 5 or 6 years ago when the NCAA, he played the first game and the NCAA was like, hold on, we got to review your eligibility. You can't play. They played him against 2 nobodies and then we're like, whoops, didn't mean to do that. They banned him from the postseason and hit him with a bunch of penalties. Alabama did the same thing, and the NCAA is like, what are we going to do here? Like they're not taking away those 3 wins that they got when they played Bediako. All of these transgressions, all of this rule breaking that would have led to the book being thrown at programs just as recently as 7 years ago is now just like, we'll settle this in court, turn the page, we're all good here. But yeah, they probably should when all's said and done. He was technically ineligible when he was playing those games from Cincinnati last year. Trevor Stepdad said, that's the best movie to sports analogy the show has probably ever had, and I haven't watched a Cars movie since before I lost my virginity. So much virginity talking.
Thank you so much, Trevor Stepdad.
He's been pretty hard on you since you got this job. I mean, his very last text was yesterday, and it said the show has gotten 100 times better since Blowman left despite Matt spewing virginity nonsense daily.
Poor Matt, man.
That's the best compliment you can
pressure
get.
makes diamonds, all right?
That's true.
Texas says, did we just have a Hooters in Jeffersonville moment? No. People also misremember that. We did our last show at a Hooters in Jeffersonville on 790. We didn't find out until the next day that we were laid off. People misremember that as we found out while we were on air at a Hooters that we were getting laid off. That's not what happened. But you can go check the quotes. What happened was I got the call the next morning, and then I tweeted out, if it had to end, I'm happy that it ended at a Hooters in Jeffersonville. And every news organization took that as my official quote on getting laid off by iHeart. Like John Ramsey had this great, long-winded, they reached out to him, and it was he said, I'm very proud of what we did. We had the #1 sports show in the market, all this stuff. Mike will always have my support and all this stuff. And then it was Rutherford added, if it had to end, I'm glad it ended at a Hooters in Jeffersonville. That Hooters in Jeffersonville got more pub from me. They should have given me a lifetime deal. Now it's gone. They need some sort of landmark there.
Well, Hooters is just gone in general, isn't it?
Besides the one on Dutchman's.
Yeah,
still
I forgot it's the last one.
It's always the
Twin
next
Peaks
option.
is kind of taking over.
Yeah, food
Check
is
that. Have
much
you
better.
seen the? I've never been to a Twin Peaks.
It's so much better. Food is so much better. If you actually want to go for food, it's a much
If you
better
actually want to
experience.
go for food.
I don't think people go to those places for food.
You never know. You never
If you want, it's like telling James Harden's like, if you want to go to the strip club for the wings.
Yeah. Well, people do say those Magic City wings are very good.
James Harden is a bit of a bigger guy. I think he probably would love that food.
Maybe less wings, James. Texture says, have you seen the movie Obsession? And what do you consider a lot of text on a random show day? I mean, we've got like upwards of 100 texts today for a May 20th show. That's a lot for sure. I have not seen the movie Obsession. I've heard of it. What's the new? I feel like every 3 weeks there's a new horror movie that everyone's saying is like the scariest movie of all time.
Yeah, so that's been
Is that what this is?
That's been the marketing ploy all the past like 2 years. Like a couple months ago, it was that movie Undertone. It was like the scariest movie you'll ever hear.
This keeps
right?
happening.
So this one, like people have been saying that, but all the people who go review these movies, like not the actual like critics, like the YouTubers I watch, other people that go watch these movies for a living, says that it's great. I'm going to see it on Friday. I'm excited to go see it. I'll let you know if it's any good.
I just saw it was literally last night. Some guy tweeted out. I don't know how it got on my timeline, but it was just like I just saw Obsession. I've got absolutely no desire to see that movie ever again. Like in a good way. Like he's like I'm shaking. Like I can't stop thinking about it. I was like, a horror movie hasn't done that to me in a long time. I don't know if I'll see that one. Tex, what do you think about Higo firing his caddy? Did you see that?
I did not.
So Garrick Higo, who missed his tee time, and then that ended up costing him the cut, which is a huge payday. He fired his caddy. I mean, he's throwing the caddy under the bus here. I feel like that's a very much a this is a PR move.
Maybe his dad is forcing him to fire the caddy, and he's going to force him to walk his own bag as punishment.
Maybe
he's going to do the Tommy Fleetwood.
I don't think he expected the blowback that he got because it became a huge thing. We talked about it a decent amount last week, but he's very clearly trying to put it out there without implicitly implicating his caddy that this wasn't my fault. This was the caddy's fault. Texas intern Ian reminds me of Zach from PMT. I don't listen to PMT.
I have no idea who that is.
You don't know who Zach from Part of My Take is?
I don't like
A Part of My Take?
Yeah.
Ian, look,
I don't watch Part of My Take much.
I don't think Ian reminds. Zach is like this very socially awkward dude who they put on camera on purpose just because it's funny because he says something off the wall. So like they'll be talking about the Super Bowl and how they think the Seahawks will win this reason why, and they'll be like, Zach, what do you think? He was like, I was up till 4 a.m. last night playing video games, ordering DoorDash. And that'll be his whole take.
To be honest, I actually was up to 4 a.m. last night playing video games. I was playing Roblox horror games with my buddies.
Like
4 a.m.
So okay, so yeah, you are. That's a good take. He is Zach from PMT now.
The video game talk on the show has just been upgraded exponentially between the two of you. I miss it. Yeah, I miss it.
We need some gamers on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for my kids to start being able to play video games just so I can selfishly get back into it. Like I'm spending time with the kids. What do you want me to do? Text Drinks Guy says every time you guys say it, I'm like, damn, the sequels really are ass though. There you go.
Agreeable.
What was that from?
I think that's from
probably Star Wars.
Once again, the Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Texture says, would you wear, again, you can't send pictures. It doesn't translate well for radio. Would you wear this wig every day for the rest of your life for $20 million? It's like a Bob wig. It's the best way I can explain it.
Like Bob Ross?
Bob
Ross wig?
No, like a Bob.
Oh, he looks like Vector from Despicable Me.
Yeah,
I do that.
Or like when the youngest kid is real little in Stranger Things. The kid who gets abducted at the beginning.
Okay.
He's got that hairstyle.
Or for anybody from my age, what's the bowl cut kid from Declassified?
It is like a bowl cut.
I've worn one of those wigs. I actually my fraternity had a spring sing, and our theme was Stranger Things.
Okay.
So I had to dress up as Will, the character from Stranger Things, the one with the bob cut.
Yeah.
So I had to wear the wig and everything. I had to wear
you're used
the
to
fruity
this.
outfit and everything like that.
See, the question is, would I rather be? I'm bald, so would I don't think I would prefer this look though.
Wait, for $20 million?
Yes. For $20 million, but every day for the rest of your life?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm already
No
a big
question.
hat guy.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I could do this.
I will do the haircut.
Yeah.
I don't even need a wig.
Text Mike, can you please ask your fellow local broadcasters to stop being so creepy? Asking our top transfer to hand feed a grown man cat food is disturbing. Thank you for your consideration. I have no idea what this is in reference to.
What? No idea what that is.
What Scoots do? my mind immediately just goes to Scoots.
Scoot's a Kid Rock fan.
Scoot's the guy to say that?
Also did look up the song Ian was talking about. He does say something very bad in it.
Okay.
Yes, it's exactly what. Yeah.
Texas, y'all are forgetting about Mac Miller. I enjoy Mac Miller. I think he's very special to people that are like in their early 30s right now. I feel like that was that age group. I missed out on that, but I like Mac Miller.
Ariana Grande used him to get popular. Unfortunately.
That's the common thought. Texas says, I covered a sectional track and field meet last night during the rain. God love you. That would be tough. By the way, I told you yesterday, John's now saying that his favorite sport is swimming. As I left today, I thought he was aware of the fact that he has swimming lessons today. I was like, go to radio, see you at swim lessons, buddy. I don't what? He was like, starts like crying. He's like, I don't want to go to swim. I'm like, you said it was your favorite sport. Your favorite sport, John. Get in the pool. Let's go. If you want this, you need to earn it. He's like, I didn't have that much fun last time. I'm like, Jesus, because you don't know how to swim. We're trying to fix you. Texas is also
trying to fix you.
Trying to fix you.
His son's broken.
It's time. Lakeside season starts next week. We got to get out there.
Oh, Lakeside.
Yeah, we're a Lakeside fam.
I used to be Plainview.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter's out there like a little fish. I can't spend another summer just carrying you around in the pool all summer. Texas also Knights versus Colorado tonight in the Western Conference Finals. I think the Knights have it in 6. You go to hell. I'm excited for Sean Moth, who's very sad about obviously the baseball season ending. But I was like, if it had to end, at least you're not going to miss the Avs game tonight. So there's that. The rain has been ridiculous today, but it has allowed me to watch my Las Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Colorado Avalanche in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals tonight. Knights in 6. Who y'all got? We'll give you picks in about 9 minutes. Texture says, North Dakota guy here. What's up, North Dakota guy? Matt, yesterday you mentioned a hypothetical trash player coming from some community college in North Dakota. Oh, boy. And that reminded me of a fact I guarantee you would never guess. Brock Lesnar actually attended community college in Bismarck, North Dakota, and was a heavyweight on the wrestling team. I feel so bad for other community college wrestlers that were probably JV high school wrestlers that had to let Brock throw them around the mat.
That actually is horrible.
That would feel very unfair.
It's like nuclear bomb versus coughing baby. You ever seen that meme?
I have not.
It's exactly what I would think.
Texas, speaking of Glenn Rutherford, was he upset about Thomas Massey's defeat? Well, again, 5-17, guys. Every time you guys do this to me, it's like 5-17. Yes, I'm sure he was.
Glenn followed me back on Twitter the other day.
Did he?
Yeah, I was really excited about it.
That's a big moment for you. We have a first-time texter, Cowboy. First-timer here. Didn't think I'd ever text into the show, but had to after I heard you all call Louisville basketball the team of the 80s. That title belongs to the Hoosiers, pal. Love the show, though. It does not. Absolutely does not. Here's the thing. Sports Illustrated named Louisville the team of the 80s. So that's not just me saying it. It's Sports Illustrated called Louisville the team of the 80s. You can Google it. We were the team of the 80s. The Hexler says that new Drake sounds like it was recorded under duress. It's a collection of unfinished diary entries from every hungover weekend of his career. I'm not a therapist or a priest, so he can save these god-awful confessions of a grown man in his third childhood. That's a much more eloquent way of making the same point that I did. I need more grown-up rap from Drake. Texas Matt Hater here. I bet Matt loved the way Kanye did something different with the NHH2. There it is.
Okay. Calm down.
There it is.
Take a breath.
You knew it was going to happen. Texas Mike, what are your overall thoughts on ABS for MLB so far? I think it's working out well. I think when you see it in real time, and you realize how quick, like the fear was that there was going to be a call and there was going to be this back and forth, and you'd look over to the dugout and they'd tell you yes or no to challenge, kind of like they do with the traditional challenge systems. The fact that it has to be an immediate challenge, I think, makes things very quick. They show the. I like the drama of seeing the ball approach the plate and then seeing it light up. It's a fun thing for the fans, and then it's very quickly back to the game. I like the fact that they're limiting to 2 challenges, so an umpire being terrible at his job can still directly impact the game if you don't use the challenges wisely. So I think it's gone well so far. I'm a fan. I'm not a fan of all the changes they made. I still think the extra inning stuff is ridiculous, but the pitch clock and the ABS stuff I think are steps in the right direction for baseball. Texture says, what are we expecting to be the big game Brom game this year? We're not that deep into the offseason. That is a topic for late June. We'll get there. North Carolina game? I don't know. Podcast Random Thoughts guy says, I had many thoughts, but then Would You Rather mentioned O-Block. I consider myself well-versed in hip-hop. I had no idea about drill music, but I did check out should check out of music for a couple of years and just missed it, I guess. Total blind spot. Basically, the Chappelle Show skit. Mike knows what I'm talking about. Apparently, Todd Sharp is running rehab homes now. He is. He's out of. Todd's doing well. He had, I know, some issues that he's been open about. He's doing much better now. Certainly, I think he'd like to get back into dance coaching, but one thing at a time. Texas, if we beat Ole Miss and we still have a clunker, then it's clearly a Jeff issue with keeping the guys locked in. Win that game and everyone isn't bought in and ready to show up every week, then it's never happening. Texas says, so if we Frankenstein a Pat Braum or a Jeff Kelsey, we should be in good shape. Yes.
That's a great idea.
The Pat Kelsey gets you the games you're supposed to win. Jeff Braum gets you the big-time games. Boom. Hybrid. We're good. Texas, I'll believe that U of L is a playoff contender if you can confidently declare that quarterback and wide receiver aren't going to be a liability this year. It's a huge question still. I think Lincoln Kienholz.
They've at least talked about him more positively than Miller Moss last year.
That's really good.
When you hear Jeff and Brian talk, they're very bad, I think, at hiding. They won't explicitly say things. But last year, the way that they talked about Miller Moss, I think, gave it away. Where they weren't effusive in their praise, and they kept going back to the same thing, which was he's got to get better at decision-making when things go wrong. When that first read's not there, the pocket collapses, he's got to get better at making decisions. And what did we see the entire season? When everything went according to plan, quick, accurate decisions, we were pretty good. When that first read wasn't there or he had to escape the pocket, he made terrible decisions every single time. They told us exactly what was going to happen with Miller Moss, and I think you're right. The way that they've talked about Lincoln Kienholz has been much more positive in different directions. I think they still acknowledge that maybe he's not the best deep ball thrower in the world, but he doesn't have to be, hopefully, with this offense and the running game that we're supposed to have. Texture says, is it wild that we really stepped it up in football spending and we're still probably not even close to sniffing the top 3 in the ACC? Yeah, I mean, that's when you've got Clemson, Florida State, Miami in your conference, you're probably that's probably always going to be the case. Continued, I'd wager all 4 2025 losses were to teams that outspent us. Not saying we shouldn't have won those games, but it shouldn't be a shock to lose those games. Yeah, I think
Did Cal outspend us?
Cal is spending a decent amount right now. Yeah,
I actually did not know that.
I mean, they've got like the number 21 recruiting class.
I know they paid to bring back Sagapulotele.
They had money to bring back JKW or JKS. Virginia would be the one that I would point to and say I'm not as sure about. But the other 3, yeah. Clemson, obviously. Texas Mall Show episodes are only like 22 minutes.
Sure.
The new guy's way better than Roman. Don't blow his head.
The new guy.
Texas Knicks were 0-2 after they were cursed. 8-0 since removing the curse. Is that a Danhausen?
That's probably a Danhausen curse, yeah.
Okay. Little Dumper says, Mike, be careful when it comes to Danhausen before he curses you in the show. But you can get uncursed if you send him real human money, but we should have him cursed UK. Okay. Maybe we need to do that.
This is the new Etsy
This will
witch.
work, yes.
Texas college baseball tournament format is the best postseason tourney format. It's debatable. Texas Mac Miller. Texas Mac is trash, and I'm 29. Okay, that ruined that theory. Texas says, James Strebel on ESPN 680 said if we signed Flory, he would eat cat food because he's a big Kentucky fan and hates Pat Kelsey and believed he could never do it. Okay, so that's what we're talking about.
Well, I can't wait to see that video then.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see that happen.
Mike, do the opposite of what that other texter said. Tell him to do it.
Yeah, we don't need Flory to feed him, but. Yeah, I want him to eat cat. If you said it, you got to follow through. You can't make those types of grandiose statements and then not follow through. Texas Matt is sus.
His next text doesn't. His next text doesn't even. I don't even. How is this comparable?
Mac Miller was hot bleep.
Why am I sus?
I think that's a compliment. I think that's a compliment. Cool hot bleep. All right, we got to get to predictions real quickly before we hand things off to the ticket punchers. Big X, Big Bets, and predictions are brought to you by Chad Hennessy from InsureMax, proudly serving this community for 25 years. Call Chad Hennessy and InsureMax today, 502-479-4085. In the NBA, one game tonight. It's the second game, the much-anticipated second game between the Timberwolves and the San Antonio Spurs. 8:30 on NBC. OKC's a 7.5-point favorite. We'll let intern Ian go first here. Who you got tonight?
I'm gonna go Spurs again. I think Wemby's gonna do it again. I think he's gonna have the same performance like he did. If Chet doesn't go on him like he did last game, I feel like it's just gonna be another dominant performance by Wemby, and it's gonna be I think probably a blowout actually if that's the case, instead of it being as close of a game as it was.
Matt, who you got?
I'm taking the Spurs as well. I know De'Aaron Fox is a game time decision. I think he plays in this game. Now they have the leg up. The only thing I'm worried about is, little bit of a soft whistle last game. I'm thinking, we're going to see Shea at the free throw line a lot in this game. But I'm still taking the Spurs money line tonight. They go 2-0.
Thunder win, but Spurs cover. We got to get out of here, so I'm just going to say real quickly, Avs 5-2 tonight over Vegas. Let's get it done. Let's go Colorado. Go Avs, go. All right, Ticket Punchers are up next. We're back tomorrow at 2:30. Until then, go Cards.
Go Cards.
Go Cards.
Rutherford Show was brought to you by United Mechanical. John Burke's United Mechanical is your trusted partner for commercial.